Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Hey, it's Saturday. It's October 29th, 2022, and this is Grapsody. Welcome to another edition of Grapsody. I'm Will Washington, and I'm not alone here. I'm also joined by man who's gonna make some noise, Phil Lindsey.
What's going on, man? Looking real college dropout vibes from Will Washington.
Mm-hmm.
This has been quite a week. More stuff coming out about the all-out situation, all kinds of other weird stuff going on. But we're here.
We are here. Also here is Righteous Reg.
In the building, it's your boy, Media Man, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, Black Cowboy. And today, shout out to Hangman Page, quick recovery. It's Halloween, it's Saturday, it's Grapsody. My mustache is definitely going to fall off before this intro is over, probably. So enjoy it while you can. I'm very happy to be here. It's a great night last night. What a great Grapsody to follow up. Such an amazing night for people like us.
boy, howdy.
Yeah, no, it's last night was a really great night, especially if you're a Nuggets fan, because Nuggets. Hey, look, knocking off number one, because first off, that first loss the Nuggets took. Nuggets have taken 2 losses this season. Who are they to? Anybody know?
Trailblazers and the
Jazz.
The Jazz.
Yeah, the top 2. It's so to be able to at least avenge that loss so quickly against the Jazz and do it handily, great stuff. And I guess some people might be noticing that it's that it's Halloween here, or at least in 2 days. It's exciting, right?
You with that fucking head.
Do your kids still trick or treat or no?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I honestly, I'm gonna have my kids trick or treat till they're like, if they want to do it till they're 18, go ahead.
Right? Yeah, have fun.
Like, I used to get annoyed when like older kids would show up at my house, but now I'm like, you know what? At least you're like out of trouble. Like, you're not doing something stupid, and so like, if you want to dress up till you can't anymore, go ahead. So
You talking with that head, man. I'm just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, this Grapsody. That's what's going on here. And I want to make sure everybody knows that make sure you're sending us your super chats and your humper chats. Humperchats.com is the way to get the humper chats in. We got plenty of humper chats, so I'm going to be going through those here just a little bit. Also, send us your super chats, youtube.com/Fightful. And if we get your super chats, damn it, there's like things I can't see, so I'm like bumping my desk. But send us your super chats, youtube.com/Fightful, and we'll read those throughout the show. No super chats yet, but we got plenty of humper chats, so I want to get into some of those. Let's see. We got them. You know, one of the things we like to say is that you could send humper chats really at any point. And so what's nice is that we've got them going back like 7 hours. So thank you to people who were up 7 hours ago and were just like, I want to make sure I get in my humper chat to Grapsody.
What the hell were you doing up 7 hours ago?
Right.
So we got this one from Dana. It says, for Grapsody, I'm not ashamed to admit that I screamed out loud at my TV when Hobbs music hit last night.
Powerhouse.
About damn time. It does leave me concerned about Starks, though. Any chance you guys could find out what the deal is with his absence? Trying to. I think he might be in the tournament. That's going to be my guess.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. My guess is
I figured they were holding him off to put him in a tournament.
Yeah. That's a guess, of course. I think we had been hinting for a while that there was going to be plans for Hobbs, and we said that. And look, I am not one on this show. When we get information, one of the things I want to make sure we don't do, and we've done a really good job of that, but I don't like spoiling creative. More than anything else, I do not like spoiling creative. Like, if there's things going on behind the scenes, things like that, we'll talk about it and we'll try to get to the bottom of stories. And we talk about those kinds of things. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that's come out from Brawl Out and things along those lines. Of course, we'll talk about that. But as far as creative stuff is concerned, especially for people that we like, who have been friends of the show, things along those lines, we're not going to spoil creative. If there's a plan, at least I'll at least say, hey, there's a plan. But I don't like to spoil creative stuff because that's the stuff the guys work hard on, and they know that it's gonna be shit. Where's that alarm going off from? It must be 10:15. All right. This has been a fun bit, but I have to tell you, it's really hard to breathe and really hard to see. Yes. So I'm done with that for now.
Committed to the bit.
I'm not committing to that bit too long. So.
I think it's all really funny that we'll get into it for sure, but that we just talked about. Someone just asked Grapsody about Hobbs, and we were like, things are, be patient, things are happening, and then things happen, right?
Pretty sure we said like a month ago that, for people who don't think that there's long-term planning going on in that company, it's just not true. Right. And I can tell that from at least multiple angles going on. Again, with no spoilers, I can tell you that. Swerve and Keith and the Acclaimed and Billy, that whole story has been laid out. At least I know they've got over 2 months of stuff laid out for that.
Right.
So it's all cool stuff. And I was upset at first because I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was supposed to be attending a concert at Red Rocks with Swerve today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then
Flatbush Zombies.
Yeah, Flatbush Zombies, right? And he was going to fly out yesterday, but then he let me know a couple weeks ago that actually there's some creative stuff that I'm going to be needed for Rampage for. So, and I didn't know what it was. I just knew he was going to be needed for Rampage. And so I'm like, okay, fine. It's my birthday, whatever.
Yeah, your boy was getting pretty spooky, man. I was
good
chuckling.
reason to miss your birthday.
I know, right? When I saw it, I'm like, okay,
he's doing spooky stuff, man. He's in dark rooms.
Thanks for setting me up that great tweet, Swerve. I appreciate you.
He did almost like a fisheye thing at the beginning where he's right in the camera. I was like, yo,
hey, Dark Knight, that was very much a homage Heath Ledger Joker kind of thing.
I remember we had that long ass Batman talk. We did, right? That one time. Everybody got into because that movie had just came out, so we were all talking about the Batman and full circle, man. Full circle happens so often. It's kind of crazy.
Speaking of full circle, did you guys watch Atlanta this week? No.
Not full circle yet. Yeah, sorry, Phil.
No, but what did I tell you? I said this weekend I'm just gonna catch up on the season. So
this episode you've got to watch it. It's so funny because we talked about the Goofy movie on this show. The entire episode is a fake documentary for the Goofy movie.
Shut up.
Yes, it is. It is amazing. It is amazing.
Oh my God, no! First off, I just realized that's the first time I've seen Reg without his glasses. I think ever. Because I was thrown off for a second.
I'm like, dude, we stayed in a hotel room together.
I know, right? And then I just thought that. That was my exact thought. I'm like, I've shared a hotel with Reg.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen Reg without his glasses, and that completely just threw me off.
I have on my glasses right when my head hits the pillow. Then I'm like, all right, glasses off. I don't need to see anymore.
I mean, if any episode there are other episodes that I'm like, you got to see this episode, but I feel like
this is the one.
This episode of anything speaks to a lot of things we talked to on this podcast. So much so that I got tweeted the next day that was like, yo, this episode made so much sense because this was referenced on Grapsody, and I was like,
Wow.
All right,
I'm
maybe
gonna
I'll
watch
skip
that.
ahead a
Yeah,
little bit just
seriously. Where are those
because
guys?
look, a Goofy movie means a lot to me. I've brought it up before. I know that movie line for line, scene for scene. Um, There'll be
yeah,
times where I'm just in the shower talking about they've been laughing since I can remember, but they're not gonna laugh anymore. No more Maxie the Geek, no more Goof of the Week like before. Anyway, but there's
Yes. I love it.
it's so anything that pays homage to a Goofy movie wins with me.
this is I mean, they went full in on this mockumentary. It is great. I can't give too much away, but yeah, it is great.
Let's see. We got a super chat here from Chris says, Will dressing as Sammy Guevara is a choice.
Ooh.
Wasn't Sammy Guevara.
Yeesh. Ooh, wow, yeesh.
I mean, it is. I mean, when you think about it, Sammy wears hoodies and he's like wears a panda head. Like, I don't know, you're gonna come in here and throw your wife over the desk and make out with her hard on stream.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, we might get some views with that. That could be the thumbnail.
Yep. Let's see. We got Orion Ben says AEW shop now has Scissor Cast signed by Swerve. Yes. And we'll talk about a lot of that stuff coming up here too.
Facts.
Yeah, because again, it was a very interesting night. I will say it was a great Friday night just in terms of me getting a good basketball win. I thought SmackDown was very good this week. And SmackDown,
Was it very good though?
I liked it. Yeah, I did like SmackDown. And I thought that SmackDown, like, it's one of those things where they had to do the circumstantial thing where it was a dual taping. They taped 2 episodes of SmackDown last night.
Right.
And so they had to use essentially half the roster because the other half has to be used for next week's show. And I thought they did a good job balancing that. Next week's show seems slim because I don't know what else is on that show, but it seemed like they didn't tape much. I was looking at the spoilers, and I'm like, this seems like a very thin show. How are you going to stretch this for content?
They're gonna film a bunch of backstage shit and a bunch of things to weave in and video packages for the show that they're gonna have the next day. Probably mostly.
I mean, I guess there's technically 5 matches on the show next week, so it's not bad.
Is
It's
Crown
just-
Jewel one of those early morning shows again?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
it's
might
like
be on a
9 a.m.
Sunday.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh wait!
yeah.
Oh crap! We can't though. I got a show on Sundays now.
Oh,
We
damn.
we gotta figure that out. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm looking at the lineup for next week's SmackDown without any spoilers, and I will say that one of the 5 matches for the show is Braun Strowman versus 5 people, and like they definitely are gonna stretch some content next week.
I hate that big guy squash thing because it never ends well. It never works out for any of these big squasher guys. It's just like,
I mean,
Okay.
is that what got? I disagree. And I'll say why I disagree. I feel like that's what got Braun over in the first place, right? Like, Braun.
but he's
when
still
he-
doing that. It's fucking
I
8
know.
years later.
when he first came in solo in 2016, I feel like those squashes were, they just brought in random guys who some of them went on to some success,
Right.
but they were bringing those random guys to just get destroyed by Braun, and then he went into that feud with Sami Zayn. But I feel like that's what got Braun over. That's what eventually led us into I'm not finished with you, Braun.
No, I will agree because that does work. Like it worked for Ryback, it worked for a bunch of people, but then like after they have to wrestle real people, then it's just over. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's very clear they didn't have a plan for Braun when they brought it back.
Right.
And it's clear now that a lot of people they've brought back, they've been just like, throw him in the pool. Don't have any real plans for him.
It's like we want them, but we don't really know exactly what we're gonna do with them. But we want them, so yeah, be on TV.
Well, here's a curious one. Okay, can't say that yet because Sean hasn't put the story out yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Sean did tweet earlier about some potential returns, 3 potential returns to WWE.
Jeez,
And,
dude, they are going ham over there, huh? Crazy.
Nah, man, I told you, man. The return is the new NXT call up, man.
Yeah,
Right.
so there's 3 returns coming, but that's going to be a Fightful Select story, so I won't spoil.
They're about
who
to have the
that is.
bloated roster again. Like, what? They're still ain't. You didn't get more time, my guys. I don't know. What are y'all? It's crazy out
And
here.
I am curious as to. So what's interesting is, I said this before, but Hunter's bread and butter right now is the return.
Right.
But what's interesting about the return is that, because I see people always compare it to Tony and the surprise debut, right? That they're like, Tony relied on debuts for a long time. And I think it's a fair comparison. But I think there's a large difference between the two. In that Hunter is bringing back people that he's booked. And the 3 people that are probably going to be reported here in the next hour or so are all people that Hunter has booked before. They're all people that he knows. He essentially established their characters on TV. They're all people that were under him. The thing he's yet to do, and I'm curious to see how he pulls it off, is he has yet to bring in anybody that wasn't already under Hunter at one point.
Right.
And that's, I think, the difference between, Tony does the debuts, and it's usually somebody who's kind of new to Tony, due to Tony's ecosystem, new to all of it. And that's why I think the comparisons are like valid, because it, at the end of the day, is just like bringing somebody in to pop the crowd. But
Right.
then, like, I also think that they're not quite the same, just because
Some of them aren't quite getting pops.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pop is.
We'll have to wait a year until he brings in a guy that he didn't book. When we hear Cult of Personality. It's a joke.
Right
It's a
for it,
joke.
huh?
And we
Joke.
got
Joking guys.
this, just fooling y'all.
Yep.
Those are jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Let's see what we got. Jennifer says, weekly love and support to 3 amazing people. Hope your weekend is great, gents. Thank you all for everything you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, as always, Jennifer. We really appreciate it.
I had a big weekend ahead just because it's the first weekend after my birthday, and we're gonna, I don't know. I want lobster today.
Oh,
Look, I don't get lobster often
Mm-hmm.
because it's fucking lobster.
Yeah.
But I do know that on my birthday, I want some damn lobster.
Let's go,
And
baby.
So my friends asked me, they're like, so what do you want to do for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, any place I can get lobster at. That's
Cheddar biscuits, buddy.
Let's go, baby. The big red. Cheddar biscuits, baby.
like I said, I just want some lobster. I don't know where we're getting. I know we're going someplace downtown. Look, I've done the Red Lobster thing pretty much on my birthday a million times. And so I don't know where we're going. At someplace downtown. And
The Red Lobster debate is hella funny about like how like that's like a celebration for Black people. Like if you're going to Red Lobster, like something happened. Like you never just. It's not just like Wednesday. Let's go to Red Lobster. It's like we about to celebrate. We going to Red Lobster.
Nah, man.
Get ready.
Beyonce cemented it, man. Once
Yeah.
she put Red Lobster on the record, like that's it. Like
That was
that's
a wrap.
Black way to celebrate, man.
yeah,
It
and
is.
that's been a birthday tradition for me. Although last year I got to go to Shanahan's, which
What's that?
those of you who live in Denver or know Denver, at least know Denver sports, know that former Broncos coach Mike Shanahan won two Super Bowls here, and then opened up the seafood restaurant. And so
Nice.
so it's the funny thing is you walk in and the first thing you see is Super Bowl trophies like in the glass display.
Pretty lit.
And I'm like, I think these are the real trophies. I think these are like the real deal. I don't think these are fake at
They're
all.
probably props.
They probably are, but like they're also behind some pretty thick glass. So.
Like, that'd be wild if he's like, no, I'm taking the trophies to my restaurant. Bring both them trophies to my restaurant. They're like, all right, Shanny.
Yeah, well, why not, right? And so yeah, it has got like a Super Bowl signed football that's like got the whole team signed, everything on it. It's Shanahan's. It's exactly what you would think somebody who won a Super Bowl in a city and decides, all right, I'm gonna open a restaurant in that city to like lay my claim that this is my city, kind of
That's
thing.
what's
And
up.
so,
And you got lobster there too.
oh yeah, they got lobster there.
Mm.
So that's the goal. But yeah, as far as this is concerned, I was supposed to go to
The
a
show.
play last night, but didn't get to. It was gonna be the Temptations story. I had 2 tickets, but my daughter's sick, and so I had to give those away.
Oh.
And I ended up giving them away to my son's performing arts teacher, actually. And originally I was gonna sell them, and then I'm like, you're on a teacher salary. Just take them. Just take them, and we're good. Enjoy, have fun.
Wow.
And yeah, it was good. It was good stuff.
Temptation story, huh? Is it like based off of like the actual story? Is it based off of a miniseries?
I don't know. That's what I was
It's
excited
about to be
for.
a surprise.
Yeah, I was gonna have fun with this, but
Oh yeah, I guess we never did formally say happy birthday to Will Washington, who just celebrated his 35th on this planet. He is here. He is out here. What a year that 34 was, right? Building up until 35. What a culmination of shit. Went
I
crazy.
know
this year.
the 34 is a really good year. Well,
Nuts.
especially considering we started Grapsody last October, so essentially this last year with you guys has been my 34th year, and I just entered 35, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I had a little birthday party on Wednesday, my actual birthday, so I didn't get to watch Dynamite live. It was like on in the background, and so like I catch out the corner of my eye the Elite segment. Because I'm like, we're all just kind of doing something, and then I hear Kenny's voice, and I'm like, well, what? And I turn my head, and then I see the segment happening, and I'm like, all right, stop everything. Like, I have to see what's happening here. I barely paid attention to the opening match, but when I saw that segment, I'm like, okay, everything stops here. We are watching this segment. And then I have to explain to the non-wrestling fans in the room of
What
like,
happened?
okay, why this is a big deal. Why did those 3 people just keep disappearing? Like, hard to explain, but here's the story. Yeah, I wasn't intending on having a party at all. It just something kind of spiraled out of control. It was like on one end, I had one friend who was just asking, "What am I doing for my birthday?" I was like, "Oh, we're just gonna have cake and tacos, and that's about it." And she was like, "Oh, I want cake and tacos." I'm like, "All right, come on over." And then
Sounds like a weird combination.
That is.
no, I mean it's my birthday. I want tacos, and
Tacos are anytime, honestly.
tacos are
Yeah.
anytime. And then and then I want birthday cake. Like that's actually a pretty.
What kind of
reasonable-
cake? What's your cake go to?
My cake go to. My best friend gave me shit for this, but my cake go to is I am a carrot cake guy.
Oh my god! I was gonna say I get shit because my cake go to is carrot cake. That's hilarious.
Really? Okay.
It
Yeah,
is,
no,
yeah.
it is.
For my
That's
birthday,
favorite-
I'll be like, "Let me get a carrot cake," and people are always like, "What?"
Yeah. No, carrot cake is bomb. Like cream
Yeah.
cheese frosting, like that's carrot cake is the best.
Mhm.
And so yeah, my wife made me a carrot cake.
Big smacker.
And yeah, I love it, right? But
She
look,
made
my
it
friend
fresh with the all the shredding and all that. She was
all
out
of it.
there.
Yeah, she
That's
did.
what's up.
My best friend was so offended by this that she bought a second cake. So that's why in that picture there's 2 cakes in it. Where
When you
she's
bring
like,
your own cake to somebody's birthday party, that's wild.
that was a good. It was a good
Yeah.
cake too.
Who's this cake for, man? Like, it's for me to celebrate your birthday? Like, the fuck?
You're like,
So
"Thanks
I
for
was-
the cake." She's like, "No, this is actually my cake."
Yeah, so yeah, I was out with my best friend on Saturday, and she goes, and I was like, well, I'm having Mel over for on my birthday. If you want to come too, go ahead. And then I was like, well, now I can't invite just those 2 because my boy Cash, he's like my brother. I have to have him over, so I call him. And then y'all know T. I was like, I can't have these people over and not invite
Got
T.
tea, yeah.
And
definitely.
so suddenly I come home to Corey and I'm like, so remember how we were just gonna like eat tacos? We need to like quadruple that because we're having people. And she's like, so are these people bringing significant others? And I was like, ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, is T bringing a significant
Yeah,
other?
and everybody did. So then at that point, it was like, Oh shit.
Don't do my guy T like
Yeah.
that.
I was like,
Yo, no, I'm just thinking about T walking in the room like Mr. Ratburn, like cake, and then he has like a date with him.
Definitely 1000%.
so all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so I kind of had like a little party in the middle of the week, and
That's what's
wasn't
up. Celebrate that
planning on it.
birthday, man.
Yeah, we did. So it was cool. It was
What
fun.
kind of tacos y'all had?
3 kinds actually.
Ooh,
3 kinds.
It was
That's right.
litty.
We had shrimp tacos, we had carne asada, and we had chicken tacos.
That's
so
lit.
so the lesson here is come through if you want to eat at a Will Washington get together.
that's what's up.
Let's see. We've got Deontay says, California looking very different. Not sorry. Good to see y'all. Yes, Reg, I'm still me and black. Just supporting my Joshi love. Tam, much love.
Big week for Joshi Wrestling, man.
Big week for
Huge
Joshi Wrestling.
Giant.
Big week for
Gargantuan.
Joshi Wrestling, man. Riho's back in the States. Gave us a banger of a match on Wednesday.
Woo,
2
on
banger
fire,
matches because
baby,
we also
fire.
had. Did y'all watch Dark this week?
Yeah, yes. Riho versus Jungle was a great match as well. We got some Joshi matches on the New Japan Strong match, which was kind of historic.
That's pretty big.
I don't know if you guys watched that, but Mayu Iwatani versus Kylan King was great. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to watch it. We even got like kind of Cosmic Angels, faux Cosmic Angels against Kylie Ray, which Kylie Ray on the New Japan show was like, what? And Kylie picked up the win.
And Kylie Ray's partner was the homegirl. What's her name?
Tyara. What is that?
Yeah, James.
There you go, Tyara. James.
Yeah, she's dope. I was like,
yeah, she's
wow,
dope.
that's like both of them are on this New Japan show. This is a big deal right here. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and of course the PWI dropped to 150 this week. And when I saw it, I knew people were going to do what they were going to do. Oh, why isn't Bianca number 1? Why isn't this person number 1? No,
Bianca's topped a lot of lists this year, by the way.
Yes.
Bianca's topped a lot of lists. She's going to top a lot of lists by the end of the year. I've said before, I think she should be in the conversation for Wrestler of the Year, and I still feel that way. But when you look at the year that Shuri has had, I think she deserves number 1. And I think if you don't watch Stardom, you probably won't feel that way. But, I mean, coming out of last year, she had the highest rated Meltzer match in, 25 years or something crazy like that?
Yeah.
Now, I'll say, I've been having this argument with people for, how long have I been podcasting? 17 years. First year I did a podcast, right? So I used to host RBR, and for the 16 years I was on that show, I did 17 year-end awards. The first year-end awards I ever did, we did our year-end best ofs. It was year 2005. I gave Wrestler of the Year 2005. My vote for that was to Samoa Joe. I had a co-host at the time who argued that you can't be the best wrestler in the world and not work for the best promotion in the world, and the best promotion or not work for the biggest promotion in the world. And he said that WWE has to be the standard. If it's the greatest, if you're the biggest promotion in the world, that is the standard for where
People
you can
still
be the
feel
best.
like that too. That's the funniest part.
Like I said, so that was in 2005, and I disagreed then. And now here we are in 2022, and I still see people make that argument.
Yeah.
And so it's not an argument that ever surprises me anymore. So when I saw that Bianca wasn't number 1, it didn't matter who was number 1 at that point. I knew what we were in for. I was like, if they're not from WWE, I know what we're going to see from people, because I know there are people who just legitimately feel that way, that if you're not at the top of the top promotion, how can you be number 1 in anything? And
Ugh,
I know.
Sucky take.
I know it's a crummy take because it's very close-minded, and also like it does a disservice to the people who are doing the best work of their career outside of WWE, and that's
Like
not
all that shit's null and void because you're not in WWE. Like you had a great match. Well, it wasn't that great because it wasn't on the big stage. It's like, no, it's a great match either way. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the list this year is indicative of just the year that Stardom has had. Stardom is possibly
Honestly.
having the biggest year in the history of the promotion.
Mhm.
I mean, when you look at their attendance and how that report came out that their attendance from 2019 to 2021 has gone up around 207%. And you look at the selling point for that New Japan show this week, which sold out, was having Stardom wrestlers on it. A
Right.
big part of the draw of bringing in Stardom wrestlers to do the IWGP Women's Championship is to get Stardom women on the American shows, to draw people to come to those shows. That just tells you the amount of success Stardom is having right now. I would argue right now Stardom is having more success this year than New Japan.
I think so.
I think New Japan is still the number one company in Japan, but when it comes to like momentum and popularity right now, I think Stardom has it. And if you're gonna pick anybody from Stardom that you want to be number one on this list, it should be Shuri. Like I said, Shuri had one of the highest rated women's matches last year, easily a match of the year candidate last year. Walked into 2022 with 3 belts. She was Goddess of Stardom champion. She was SWA champion, and she was World of Stardom champion. So, no, nobody else had the kind of achievement she had walking into this year. The thing with Bianca is, I think Bianca's had a good year in retrospect, but Bianca's run really started at Elimination Chamber because there was like a while after SummerSlam where I was wondering, like, okay, what are they doing with her?
Right.
But like by Elimination Chamber, she went on that great streak of pay-per-view matches that's kind of cemented this run for her. And I mean, that's not downplaying what she's done this year. I mean, back-to-back WrestleMania wins over 2 of the biggest stars in the company. All of that matters.
Both fire matches too. Some of the best matches ever.
Both 2 of the best women's matches in WrestleMania history. And so she belongs in the top of that list, but I just don't like people downplaying the year that Shuri has had. Shuri has had a phenomenal year. I mean, even some of the other Stardom women. I mean, I also forgot that Shuri won the 5-star Grand Prix last year as well. So, no, she's been on a great run. She deserves it. Like SLK as well in the top 10. She deserves it. Saya Kamatani also deserves it. I thought it was a really good top 10 this year. I've seen people with their Mandy should be in the top 10 list, and
I mean, the problem is like it's established criteria because everybody's like, well, she's had the championship for a year. It's established criteria by PWI that NXT titles aren't world titles, and so because I've seen people say, well, Adam Cole was he was number 2 one year, and so how can you then say that? And like that's almost a fair point, except that like also title criteria can change because at one point the Impact World title was considered a world championship, and now they do not.
Josh Alexander wasn't in the men's top 10.
Yeah, it all depends on the stature at which the belt is perceived at that moment in time. And
exactly.
Statures can change.
I mean, was Braun in the top 10? He was NXT champion. I didn't see him in the top 10 for the men.
No, he was not.
And I mean, look, I think Mandy's had a great year. I think it matters that she's been champion for about a year at this point. I saw people saying that she unified the titles. No, nobody talks about the NXT UK Women's Championship. And on top of that, she unified the titles in September. That was after the evaluation period was over.
Right.
So, no, I know that people want to get all these WWE wrestlers in the top 10, but it's okay to acknowledge other wrestlers from other companies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also saw people doing why is Thunder Rosa number 3? Because Thunder Rosa does more for women's wrestling than most people in this industry. That's why. It's not just that she was great in AEW this year. She has her own promotion where she puts other women over, and she also has done all these indie dates and other things.
They put that in the criteria. There's literally a section that
Thunder
says
Rosa
why.
belonged in the top 10. Sorry.
If we're talking influence, Thunder Rosa might be number 1, honestly.
This
if we're
is
talking
what I'm saying.
influence, talk about what she does for the women's wrestling as a whole. Like, she is number 1. She has done so much. And on top of that, it all gets fuddled up of what, her injuries and what happened. But when she was running for the title, she was hot. She was super hot. Like, people wanted her to win. It's the AEW women's title thing. Anytime you get the AEW's women's title, people just quickly change their minds. But when she was going for it, she was hot. She was one of the hottest wrestlers in the whole company. She got the belt before for that reason, and then people soured on her because that's how they do every AEW Women's Champion. It's pretty
I
unfortunate.
mean, let's get into it though, because I see that comment. Rosa having a better year than Becky is kind of nuts. Is it though? Because look, Becky had a good run. I think Becky did some phenomenal character stuff. I think she did great as a heel character. I think the Big Time Bex was very underrated. But when you compare that to Rosa going overseas and defending the championship in Japan, I mean, we're not defending the title in Japan, but going and competing at Tokyo Joshi Pro, coming back and defending the title again. Yeah, against a Joshi wrestler. All of the indie dates she's done. I mean, again, when you look at all of the extras that come in for AEW, they're from Mission Pro.
Yep. Should be putting on.
I think the bottom line for me is just like it is just really important to acknowledge the greater wrestling world, that there is a massive wrestling world out there, and that most of the time the promotion that look, I don't like to harp on WWE fans because everybody's a fan of. Everybody has one promotion that they stick with, but obviously WWE has mostly what's the word I'm looking for? They have curated an ecosystem that has allowed people to not have to acknowledge anything outside of it. And so
that was a hell of a bar right there you came up with.
and so the point I'm going with that is that obviously that allows people who mostly stick to WWE to look at other promotions and go, well, who the fuck is this guy? You know, what is this? What does this matter?
Who?
Right. And so I just think it is important to recognize that WWE does their own awards every year.
Yep.
If you want to see things, and a lot of promotions do their own awards. AEW did the AEW awards last year. So if that's what you're after, is
Fightful. We're doing Fightful awards, remember?
Yeah, I was about to get to that, actually. I was going to find a way to bring it around to that. But at the end of the day, just keep in mind that it's a really big wrestling world, and there are people doing big things outside of whatever your favorite promotion is. And at some point, your favorite promotion may get their acknowledgement. I mean, I don't think guys who are exclusively with GCW are ever going to top a list. But but ultimately, if you have a big stage, your guys are probably going to find their acknowledgement at some point. And I think it is important that people who are doing big things wherever they are get the acknowledgement that they're getting. And I think that with Stardom having the momentum they're having, and momentum is very important to acknowledge. It's not just about the size of the promotion. It's about the momentum the promotion has in their growth.
Facts.
Yeah, they're doing big things at this point. At this point, like the partnership with New Japan has been huge for them. I mean, we're talking about getting a women's championship possibly defended at Wrestle Kingdom. That's historic.
That's huge.
And so,
I go to Wrestle Kingdom this year.
I know, that'd be sick.
I know I won't be able to pull that off this year, but I think I might be able to in 2024.
Yeah, that's still on the bucket list to go to Wrestle Kingdom.
Definitely.
I was supposed to in 2021. That was a big plan I had with my friends where we were like, all right, let's all spend the next year saving to get to Wrestle Kingdom. And we made the plan at the beginning of 2020. And then, of course, 3 months into 2020, it was like,
wrap.
Yeah, this ain't happening. So,
yeah,
hoping to reignite those plans for 2024.
Yeah. Speaking of Joshi Wrestling as well, Willow got her trip to Japan last night.
Awesome to
see. I didn't get to see all of the show, but I got to see bits and pieces of it. Really glad she got a chance to do that. I don't know, man. Joshi Wrestling is killing it right now, man.
They're hot.
Yeah.
Get on board.
Super hot.
Get on board. Hey, but also, as Sean Ross Sapp announced, and I'm really excited for it, that for the first year, there are going to be Fightful awards. And we're working out all the details as to how those are going to be presented, but there will be a physical award sent out to the talent who earns it, and it's all going to be voted on. The official awards will be voted on by subscribers of Fightful Select. So you'll be able to get your votes in there. This is going to be a really interesting one. We've all been tossing around categories, things like that, and what we want to see. It's going to be exciting, as Sean announced. There's not going to be any worse. I don't like doing worse. There was a time in my career as a podcaster that I didn't mind, dogging on a wrestler, but like that was before I became hyper aware of how aware wrestlers are of the
it's
stuff
not
we
fun.
do.
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't want to be that guy. I there's no reason to. There's no reason to let anybody know that they're the worst wrestler of the year. Nobody needs to read that. Like that's, I don't know. To me, I don't enjoy putting that in somebody's notifications.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because people are gonna at them. Hey, you won this reward for being the worst because they're the worst.
Yeah, and look, I have on multiple years given like. No, I'm not gonna reopen that one.
Nope.
I was gonna say I have given Bray Wyatt worst wrestler.
See why? We could have just moved forward.
I think on multiple occasions I have.
Come on. Let's just
J-Man.
move on. Smooth sailing on out of here. I would never give a worse anything to anybody. I think all wrestlers are
I would never. I would never.
Me?
I would never do something.
But no,
like that.
I just something in the last couple of years. I'm not a fan of the concept. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, we just need to give. It's all about flowers these days.
Yeah,
man.
it's all about
Nobody
flowers.
needs to. We don't need to be giving that up like that.
you
That
don't
shit's
need to
whack.
drop shit on people's doorstep. But yeah, so it is coming. End of the year, we are doing the Fightful.
A real quick one, huh?
We are doing the Fightful Year-End Awards. If you're a Fightful Select subscriber, and I know a lot of you are, definitely make sure you get your vote in, and we're gonna tally those up, and we're gonna see who the best wrestler is. We're splitting up male and female wrestler of the year. I know that, and we are also going to have best match. There's just I love year-end awards. They're part of my. It was one of my favorite things to do. Even when I left RBR last September, I still came back into the year-end award show because I wanted to wrap up my year because I was like, I did 9 months on that show. I should at the very least recap the year as it went. So this year, Fightful Year-End Awards. It's gonna be good stuff. It's gonna be great. We got a few more humpers and supers, so we'll get to all of them. Let's see. Tony P says, so Will, why didn't you tell us Swerve's house was a damn torture chamber? And did you just willfully ignore the gimp suit, skin mask, and the hose next to the lotion in the basement? In the bucket near the pit. Hashtag Swerve season. Hashtag Black Horror. I mean, he kept trying to tell y'all. He was tweeting all day. He said, "Hey, it's getting spooky on,
real spooky out here.
getting spooky on Dynamite tonight." D'Lo Diggs just says, "Love, peace, and hair grease. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, D'Lo.
Appreciate
Always
that,
appreciate
D-Lo.
you." Van Twinblade says, "The Glory Pro show is tomorrow. The card is on Insta, but more importantly, fuck Kanye."
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good week for Kanye. I saw that whole Skechers thing, and I was like, boy, this guy is
Well, if
going
Skechers get you
outside.
out of here.
Not being lifted up by your collar to be taken out of Skechers. It's crazy out
Fam,
here, man.
Fam, having to get escorted out of Skechers is embarrassing.
Very.
And why was you pulling up to Skechers, bro? This is crazy. He was like, I'm about to go to Skechers and try to get a deal. Nasty.
Skechers?
Skechers.
Sad, man. Sad
Skechers. Skechers, bro. Skechers.
I mean,
Sad,
I
sad
guess I would have loved to have seen, like people who are just like die on every Kanye West hill, deciding that Skechers are what they need to rock now. Like, I would have loved to have seen that.
Honestly, that would have been pretty amazing.
That would have
Him
been-
convincing
yeah.
his whole legion of fans to go get Skechers, Yeezy Skechers. Oh my god, I wish he
Yeezy
would've got the
Skechers
deal.
sounds gross.
I wish he would have got the deal.
Come on, Skechers. It's not too late.
It's not too late, bro. It's not too late.
Let's see. We got Caden says, "Good morning, guys. Spending the day at Disney after a rough week. Good for you." He says, "Well, hope you enjoyed your B-Day. I did. He says, as I said on Twitter, one of the best people in this space, and glad I can call you a friend. Will and Phil, thoughts on James Gunn running DC? Thank you, by the way, for that, Caden. I appreciate every kind word I got this week, and I'm always just grateful and overwhelmed whenever I get them. But thoughts on James Gunn running DC? I think DC needs a unified vision, and I think giving it to somebody who's already had success in DC, looking at you, Zack Snyder, who didn't have success in DC before they decided to give it to you, and sure enough, that's why things turned out the way they did. Sorry, Snyderverse guys, I'm not a Snyderverse man, but as far as James Gunn is concerned, he's had success. He's had success in the universe. The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, both successful things, both successful stories. So now we've seen what he can do with it. And yeah, it'll be nice to see things under some unified vision. So
yeah, it's just funny watching things go full circle. I remember that right when the Snyder movies were coming out, a lot of those fans hated Guardians of the Galaxy. They hated like the dance off stuff. Like they thought it was super cheesy. And then, I chuckled when the first Suicide Squad came out, and I was like, wait a minute. This all looks pretty familiar. This all looks like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're doing the same kind of music cues. They're doing the same kind of introductions. They're trying to do the same kind of humor. I was like, this looks like my man's stuff. I don't know. Did you copy his homework? And so, when they came out with the sequel and they actually went and got the real thing, I was like, well.
Yeah.
Let James Gunn in the door, and what do we have? And so now, he talked, I don't know, one of the biggest wrestling stars in the world into doing a spinoff show that was incredibly successful. And so I'm like, yeah, maybe it's some hope for this James Gunn guy over there that you guys were making all your jokes about. And now he's the head of the whole damn division. Sorry for you.
I mean, and like Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad tried to do it all without having any of the heart that
it sucked.
That Guardians of the Galaxy had, where it was like, hey, look at us, we've got a really cool soundtrack too. Like the first time Real Slim Shady played in
Suicide Squad.
In Suicide Squad, I thought, is this what we're doing here? Like, are you guys
it is
trying
what
to
we're
pop?
doing.
I was like, you're just trying to pop people with music that they recognize without like recognizing why it worked in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
I hate that.
And yeah, all of the Killer Croc stuff in that movie was trash. Shame on you. Shame on you, Ayers. Shame on you. But no, I think it's great for them. I think that they're in a great direction. I think getting Henry Cavill back is a big move for them. Because a lot of people have wanted a second Superman movie. So, hopefully they have success this time around.
Yep. Let's see. D'Lo says, singing after today at work and had a kid singing with me. Worth it. Thanks, Will. LOL. Isaiah's World says, interested if Will knows all of the WWE Hall of Famers. All of them? I mean, like, if you gave me a name and said, are they a Hall of Famer? Yes. I mean, I could answer that. But, like, listing all of them? Yeah, there's too many. I don't. I'm not going to try, but I bet you if I did.
You really sat and thought about it, you probably
Like, I could probably tell you the headliner for each year because I definitely have all that remembered. Let's see. Tom Brady says, I hear Ray versus Gunther humped. Find out next week, but I've heard good things too.
It's Gunther. I mean, Gunther's been killing it, bro.
Yeah, our dear friend Cher Delaware, she was at the show last night. Actually ended up staying in St. Louis. So
is by default, is Gunther the best NXT 2.0 call up?
I don't consider him NXT 2.0 though. He was there for such a short time.
He's not Walter, so you can't consider him NXT UK.
I mean, but it was like a week. I mean, I'll say this. Other than the name, he's more Walter now, especially having fully Imperium back and all of that. Like, I feel like he's closer to the Walter of before than he was anything he was doing in NXT 2.0.
Right. He's more NXT UK Walter than he is.
Yeah,
it's really just the name.
2.0.
And
I'm just thinking anybody else that's come up from 2.0 now, like I think Legado looks great. Like their entrance this week, like they look really good.
They look pretty swaggy.
I think they're ready to push them. But in terms of anybody else from 2.0, it's pretty much just Gunther at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they really haven't done many like straight up 2.0 call ups. Like,
do you guys count LA Knight?
Yeah,
no.
He was. Yeah, he wasn't even. Remember, they did the teams last year, War Games, and he was on.
He was on the black and gold team,
Yeah,
which he wasn't really a black and gold, right?
But he wasn't in black and gold at all.
But like, even Legado del Fantasma was there before 2.0. Like, they were obviously majority of the time was 2.0, but I don't know. As far as like an act that was introduced in NXT 2.0, they haven't really called any of those up yet.
I mean,
but then
Sikoa.
again, are any of them ready? Yeah, I guess Sikoa. You're right. That's one.
Solo.
That
Solo.
I call Solo. Solo's having so much success, though. I'd honestly call him like really the biggest success story out of 2.0. In that he came in, they were like, "Nah, get this guy with the bloodline immediately," and it's working for him.
Yeah,
I don't think without Sami Zayn it would be as.
It wouldn't be the
successful.
same without Sami Zayn.
Sammy is single-handedly saving all of these bloodline segments.
Definitely.
Yeah, I died laughing at, by the way, that if Jey Uso going into his Bernie Mac from Don't Be a Menace. I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate your skin.
I hate your black skin. I hate black pepper. But
I hate Whoopi Goldberg's lips.
I hate the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. And worst of all, I hate that black ass Wesley Snipes.
I miss Bernie Mac, man.
I miss Bernie Mac,
What a
man.
guy.
I hate my gums because they black.
Hate black keys on the piano.
Bernie,
man. No, Bernie. I mean, those cameos in those '90s movies were just so perfect because again, he's in Don't Be a Menace for all of 40 seconds. Which, by the way, that's the second Don't Be a Menace reference on this show because I dropped one early. But and now third. But he was in that movie all of 30 seconds. And it's one of the best scenes in the movie, right? But you think about Friday as well. Friday, he's in that movie all of a minute. But again,
people remember his part almost more than anyone else's part. And he was
oh my
in
God,
that
him and Rashad. And Booty Call Rashad. Get out here, son.
Yeah. Man, did I ever tell you guys the story of how I saw Booty Call when I was like 10 in theaters? In that we had this movie theater that it was the $1.50 theater that so they always had movies that were like out of theaters for like after a couple months they then got them at the $1.50 theater. And so like nobody who was staffed at the $1.50 theater like cared about anything, right?
Yeah, they don't.
So I remember I walked in and I bought a ticket for something. I don't even remember what it was. But then I turned around and I saw Booty Call was just starting and I'm like, I'm 10 years old. I'm like, I'm going to go see Booty Call. And my brother and I, we stuck into Booty Call instead. And we got to see it. And I was so excited. I'm like, I'm watching Booty Call. This is an R-rated movie. And I'm in the theater watching Booty Call. This is great. Because, like, look, I was...
Booty Call.
It's still one of my all-time favorite songs, but Can We by SWV, which was on the soundtrack to Booty Call. It's one of my all-time favorites. I'm a big SWV guy for people who don't know that.
Come on, man. One of the best Missy productions for them as well. Come on, Missy was killing it at that time, writing
Missy
and
was
producing.
going nuts.
Me, Timberland, and SWV, we hit you with the hee. But that, yeah, no, I don't know. So Booty Call like holds a special place in my heart for having that soundtrack, and then I also got to see it as a 10-year-old in theaters. Never saw an R-rated movie in theaters before that. It was the first one. 10 years old. What the hell was wrong with me?
Yeah, I'm
But
sure
Buns
you
and
didn't
Rashad,
understand.
they got it done.
I'm sure you didn't understand a lot of the jokes or references in there.
Surprisingly, I feel like I did. Maybe. I don't know. I guess there's stuff I in hindsight I'm like
There's some stuff in there, in hindsight that
Yeah.
could be like, whoa.
that I guess I didn't quite get why Rashad needed the saran wrap.
He didn't either, apparently.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mhm.
That's why he wrapped his head. Great stuff. Redmond says, we're finally getting OC versus Suzuki next week in that All-Atlantic City Dream match. Also, did you see the House of Black vignettes on social media? Saw them all. That is what I'm thinking they're going with, where they did say that the winner of the All-Atlantic Championship match on Wednesday's Dynamite will have a dream match on Friday's Rampage. And thinking about the fact that we were supposed to get...
Oh, people have been saying that for a minute. Like, they still bring that graphic up like every week to be like, we're supposed to get this match, Orange Cassidy and Minoru Suzuki.
From Spring Break, right?
Right. Spring Break 2020. Right. I had tickets to that, and we still have never gotten to see that. So I think, Suzuki has still been working everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere he can. I can imagine that Orange Cassidy versus Suzuki is the match that they're planning on throwing out. I can't see what other dream match they have in mind for Orange Cassidy at Rampage next week.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the one. They're in New Jersey too, I think, right at the boardwalk. Yeah, this is that's definitely going to be it.
Speaking of Suzuki, that clip online from the homie Victor, and he had Suzuki coming in, pointing out the wrestling club. I was like, this is amazing. Like, seeing these kids enjoy wrestling is one of the coolest things.
And getting to learn so much about it. Like, I wish...
It's one of the most amazing stories that's happened this year, for sure.
I love it. We got to get Victor on the show. I talk to Victor all the time, and, I would love to have him on the show. Let's see. Words from Will says... 3 Kings of Grapsody. How many musical wrestlers will Nakamura be teaming with in his career?
Listen, I hate it. I hate that they don't know what to do with this man, and it's very apparent that they don't know what they do with this man. 1 minute they had him on NXT. They were trying to push this boog stuff down our throat that I didn't like.
Hated it.
And that's not to say I don't like Hit Row, but just throwing him with Hit Row just for a reason to help them get a pop, it's like, come on, man. Figure out something to do with Nakamura. And I saw people saying, but he got such a big pop. Yes, he got a big pop because fans want to cheer for Nakamura. Fans have wanted to cheer for Nakamura for 4 years. Yeah. Give them a reason to.
Seriously, we've since day one, since his debut with Sami Zayn, we've only wanted to cheer Nakamura. They tried really hard to get us to not cheer him with the AJ Styles shit. They tried to get him to be into foreign heel bullshit. Like, they tried hard, but we still were like, Nakamura, we want him. So yeah, the pop's gonna happen regardless. But what's the follow up? He still hasn't. Remember Roman beat him up, and then it was never to be seen again.
Still nothing to be seen from that. Still one of my favorite WrestleMania, from one of my favorite Royal Rumble winners. And yeah, didn't really get a great follow up to that as well. I don't know. Come on, Triple H. That's the one thing I'm waiting for you to do. Do something cool with Nakamura.
Do something good with Nak.
By the way, we haven't done enough to acknowledge Phil's X-Pac costume because I feel like
not made no noise for Phil's costume today.
I feel like of everything done on this show, Panda Head included, X-Pac is number one. This is
definitely
excellent. Like, show off the jersey.
Oh, man,
yeah, let's go, baby.
Oh, man. Again, out of all of the guys that have still looked cool out of all of this, is X-Pac. He's still the guy.
These youngsters don't know about wearing that jersey to 8th grade, and they don't know.
That's exactly where I got in trouble for it.
Yes, they don't know what life is like wearing that jersey to 8th grade and seeing teachers' faces being like, what the hell is that? So,
well, especially when she's like, DX, is that short for dicks? That's literally what happened, right? And I'm like, no, that's not what that means. But I guess
suck it, dicks is crazy. Okay, I guess the scissor me daddy ass shit. If there's any kids that are taking that to school, that's pretty. That's pretty
I mean,
at this point.
It felt pretty relevant. Yeah, I mean, all of the Acclaim stuff it's essentially doing their version of the DX stuff. The football jerseys they're doing is basically this jersey. It's just them doing it with the Acclaim. Mm-hmm. There's an inside joke to this that somebody called me and was like, "Man, you got X-Pac heat on Twitter," and that's what sparked this idea.
That's funny.
That's really great. All right, Bits. It says, shout out to Rocky Romero, Speedball, Veda, Eddie, Murder Grandpa, Okada, and all the New Japan talent fans that showed the wrestling club love on New York City this Thursday. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was dope.
Look lit. Dope. The New Japan shows both look lit, super lit too. So
I'm La Lucha says, bro, cheddar biscuits slap. Happy birthday, Will. Telling you.
Yeah, those are
not
fire.
The cheddar biscuits, granddad. Don't feed her.
Happy belated birthday to Sullivan Brown. Yes, happy belated birthday to Sullivan Brown. Even though, watch this week's Quizzlemania. I did still come in second this week, but I'm glad that they do have the championship back in their control, because I know that they want to do the episodes. They want to tape the live episode in UK. I ain't making that trek. So so glad Tempest won. And Tempest now gets to defend it in person. So good.
Yeah, Tempest is great, man.
Yeah, love Tempest. Honestly, good on him for making the move across the world to be a part of the Wrestle Talk team and do what he's doing. So shout out Tempest.
Yeah, shout out to Tempest.
I did chuckle to myself because he was like, I've never seen Will Washington at a show. And I was like, I was sitting behind you, Tempest, at All Out, and Will Washington was there.
Yeah. Let's see. Aaron Busby says, I love Bray, but the Uncle Howdy reveal is giving off Goofy Spooky vibes. Still gonna let it play out. Also, the Goofy movie episode of Atlanta was a classic.
Classic. Yeah, you've got to watch it. I feel like the last 3 episodes of Atlanta have been really, really good. But no, I'm giving the Uncle Howdy stuff a minute. I don't want to down on it already, but it did look a little bit like something we would see out of a Baz Luhrmann movie with like some Savini prosthetics.
Or like Busby said on Twitter, Zeke the plumber from fucking Salute Your
Oh
Short.
my God. I didn't see that tweet, but my God, that is a very good comparison.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like Busby did this. He's trying to comment on that. He ain't gonna talk about his little tweet that he put out about
that. Was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think about that.
Look,
I'm just saying though, from a logical standpoint, I can't help but watch these Bray segments. This is the second one now, and think, why don't this man come out earlier in the show? Because like this is the second time he got cut off in the middle of his promo, and it ain't like.
I'm like, bro, put me on first, so they don't cut me off.
I know the story that's supposed to be told is that he's in the middle of it, but his demons are interrupting him. Uncle Howdy is cutting him off, right? But like, I'm looking up and I'm like, it's 8:58 right now. He don't have any time to finish this promo. Like,
no,
even in the logic of the show, Fox is gonna cut him off if Uncle Howdy don't do it.
And they always go out early on SmackDown, so it never works. I'm like, bro, you need to come out earlier than this. This ain't gonna work out for you.
He's gonna get cut off by the Fox News out here in Chicago. But I think it says a lot that he came straight back and they're using him in the main event segments. That just shows how popular he is at the moment. I don't know if that report is true that he's jumped up to #1 merch seller, which is crazy.
That wouldn't surprise me. I can't see, like, that's a really impressive stat on its own. You do have to take a step back and go, I mean, who's going to beat him? Like, Roman, I guess, but for the most part, Roman's not, like, around enough to be dropping merch like that. So then at that point, who else is going to beat him?
Yeah,
the hardest thing is that the last couple of years, like the top merch sellers have been like Roman and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like that's really, when you look up and down the roster, they don't really have people who are moving merch like that.
No one in the WWE has an iconic shirt like that. Like no one has iconic shirts like the NWO and Austin 316. I think that also plays a big role. Because what's an iconic shirt that's came out in the last 10 years?
I would say the man shirt. I would say
that's just they're just doing a fucking tribute to the other shit.
Yeah, well, but it's still. I feel like it still was a significant moment for Becky. I think that was one of her best merches. I think the Seth freaking Rollins shirt is probably up there.
You know, maybe thinking about it, the Nakamura shirt, that red one, I see that shirt so.
The Nakamura
that
shirt's
strong
up there, too.
style King one, I see that shirt so often. Still,
Well, the funny thing is though, I think Reg is right though that when the last WWE event I went to, which was back in February, yeah. I saw a ton of NWO shirts.
Right.
I saw a ton of Austin shirts. They were even advertising on the Tron. They were like, "Go get your Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt in the lobby right now."
Dude, at the one I went to in San Jose, they had a Stone Cold San Jose crossover shirt. It was Stone Cold though, like that they used for the crossover shark shirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, they have current superstars here also, but that Austin 316 shit is.
And this wasn't a shirt you went. This wasn't a show you went to back in like when Austin was back. Back in April. No, this was a show you went to like a month ago.
Right.
No, remember when we were at Royal Rumble and they had advertisement on everything for go buy this Austin 360 shirt right now, and it's like, okay, but you guys have wrestlers that
are
there.
Look,
and then Austin ended up back a few months later.
Yeah. Austin's like, let me get my bag, bro.
I know, but Austin is still one of their top merch sellers. So like people still want to walk around in Austin 316 shirts.
They do.
Which every time I think about Austin 316, I think about the most failed shoot promo of all time, which was Jeff Jarrett when he came back in '97, came back to WWF and was like tried to cut a promo on the blasphemy of Stone Cold Steve Austin and talking about why he's back in the World Wrestling Federation. And he's like, and you're walking around with Austin 316 and a Bible verse, and people are buying these T-shirts and bringing these signs, and you can even hear Vince on commentary goes, "All right,
not all right, all right, wrap it up, Jeff, wrap it up.
All right, we're done here.
We putting out 1 million of these shirts a week, bro. Like, wrap it up. Take it,
man. Every time I think of Jared and Austin, I think of that segment of him sliding in and giving him the stunner and then hitting the strut after it. Still funny to me every time I see it.
Amazing.
Austin in that time period is so weird because like in 98, 99, Austin was arguably at his most popular, but he was also like wrestling the least in his career because like he was still mostly injured from the 97 injury with Owen, but he's also like the most popular guy. So like it was Austin's going to have these main event matches, but for the most part, if you catch Austin wrestling on Raw, it's going to be a quick squash of like Billy Gunn. Right. He's not really going to do much else.
Or a tag match or something.
Or a tag match or something along those lines. Yeah. Which is why I still feel to this day, my favorite Austin run is his 2000 return. Because when he came back in 2000, so I feel like 2000, when he came back September of 2000 till he turned heel at WrestleMania, I think that run is his best run for me. For two reasons. One, Vince wasn't his main foil at that point. Right. Vince was barely on the show at that stage. He was like tied up with Shane and Trish and all of that. So like Vince had his other thing going on. So Austin was able
tied up with Shane and Trish. What?
I mean, that was the match, right? WrestleMania 17. He had that match, right? And so it allowed Austin as the Stone Cold character. Like, go back and watch some of that stuff on the network, like or on Peacock. But it allowed Austin to explore getting to feud with other top heels without the heel having to be Vince's lackey of the week, or flavor of the month, right? It was Austin is having matches with Benoit. Austin is having matches with Eddie Guerrero. Austin had matches with Kurt Angle. He's having matches. He has the biggest feud with arguably of Hunter's career with Hunter, and like Vince is barely a factor in that feud. Vince is basically just like the guy having the contract signings, but nobody's doing Vince's bidding here. It was literally Austin as a babyface getting to do other things.
It was pretty hot too after the WrestleMania shit died down with Vince, and he just kind of got back onto that where he was having these great matches with all these people, but the Vince shit was muddying up his career for a while there.
Well, that's the thing is they didn't have an out. Like Vince Russo didn't have anything else. It was he was like, well, Vince and Austin has made us the most money. And it was the biggest feud at that time. But then like when that feud started in 97 and you're looking up in 99 and you're like, we're still doing Vince versus Austin. We don't have
The whole Royal Rumble was just about their feud in '99. It's like we've been doing this for so long, you
Yeah,
guys. Come on.
Yeah, give us like anything else. And so it was nice when Austin returned in 2000 to just have him. And the thing is, and he was able to wrestle full time again and wrestle like his old self again. So it was like we were seeing in ring, almost like stunning Steve Austin in ring, but being a Stone Cold character, but not having Vince be his main foil. That's a really great run to me. I love that run. And because they knew he was going to be winning the title at WrestleMania that year, he mostly stayed out of the title picture. So it was like Austin getting to kind of coast in like he's a main eventer, but he's not toiling with the championship. That's great stuff. I thought that it's a great run. Go back and watch it. He was wrestling every week. Every week the guy was having matches, and he's like I said, he's wrestling Chris Benoit. He's wrestling Eddie Guerrero. He's wrestling Kurt Angle. It was just a good run. I love it. William Regal. He was feuding with Regal on TV. I love it.
I've been sitting here chuckling to myself the whole time because I saw a clip of Sam Roberts this week talking about MJF. And MJF is another guy that's gotten hot and hasn't had to wrestle as much. And he made this very weird reference to Austin because he was saying, yeah, when people are comparing him to this wrestler, I think he's AEW's Austin. He's a Jewish rattlesnake. I was like, Jewish rattlesnake sounds wild. What?
A Jewish rattlesnake.
Yeah. I mean, and that's tough too because like
I don't think anybody's Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, and
No
nobody's
one's
Austin, but also
No,
like
never will be either.
I feel like that also does really take away from what Austin was able to do because like Austin was wrestling every week until his body couldn't. That wasn't like by design. It wasn't like a Brock Lesnar thing where we're like, well, we're only going to use him here, here, and here. It was that, look, Austin can only give us so much right now because Austin had
His neck is
issue.
broken.
His neck is broken, and he was never fully able to take care of it until the end of '99. So he spent 2 years after that neck injury basically having to be the guy carrying the company, but also like, I can't give you everything, but I can give you as much as I can. And so he had big matches, but then like in severe pain afterwards.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the closest in AEW to Austin is Mox, but even Mox doesn't
Definitely.
quite fit the energy that Austin had at his peak. But he's the closest in terms of like the cool factor and just like what his entrance does.
What he represents, how everything
Yeah.
about him, pretty much.
I
Yeah.
think
mean,
MJF
he's
is-
yeah.
I
I
think
was just
MJF is entirely unique. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was just gonna say for Mox is kind of like what Austin was for WWE then for AEW because he's like the guy. He's kind of the face of the company at this point.
Exactly.
Got a couple more I want to read, and then I want to get into some other topics. But Zero Prime says, just say AEW needs Kiona and Mesa Ruga before Taken. I mean, I'm glad to see Mesa Ruga back. I was
I think
very
he
happy
meant
with that.
Taven. Is that what you meant, Zero?
No, I think he meant like before they're taken by like WWE or something.
I mean, if you say Taven, I mean Taven signed already, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I read that as he
Oh, he's saying that
AEW
like he
should
should
have
have
signed
signed
them
him
before
before he
Taven.
signed
Yeah.
Matt Taven. Got you.
Yeah. No, I agree that somebody should pick up Jungle Kiona. Like, why is she still a free agent? But I mean, I'm not gonna hate on Taven. I think Taven is gonna be fine.
Christopher says, "Hey, never seen Stardom. How get into watch it? What you recommend me? What you recommend match me watch? I got what you're getting at there. That's the Philip Lindsey answer here.
Yes.
Stardom World. It is very inexpensive. You can, I think it's only like $8 and some change. And it's basically a la carte. You could just go and pick matches you want to watch. If you're a Kyrie fan, there's so much stuff that you can watch from Kyrie. If you wonder like what was EO doing before she came to WWE and what really put her on the map, there's so many Stardom matches you can look up. Go watch EO versus Mako Satomura. Like none of those matches are a miss. If you want more recent stuff, you can look at like Tam Nakano versus Julia. Their feud has been amazing. That there's no real way to go wrong. Like I feel like once you get Stardom World, you could just go and look at what's hot at the moment. And I mean, they have a lot of free matches on YouTube as well if you don't want to just sign up for Stardom World.
Yeah, I will say Joshi wrestling is really easy to get into if you are into wrestling that is about the spirit of competition. I know if you're like I need soap opera drama in my pro wrestling, a little bit harder to get into. But if you're into like spirit of competition type wrestling,
that is a no, Anton. Asuka never wrestled for Stardom. Kind of had her own promotion at one point. She had like a bunch of indie stuff she did. She was really like a freelancer, but she wasn't with Stardom, no.
Yeah, like Hikaru Shida. But
there's that classic video that everybody throws out of Kana and Hikaru Shida, and I think Shuri is the third woman in that video that is dancing on stage.
Jester Designs says, my question is, why isn't Rosa head of a face faction of Mission Pro women? Thunder and the Renegade Twins versus Britt Hader and Reba/Rebel. Could be
Not
fun,
a bad idea.
I think that's a cool
as far
idea.
as them working together. I wouldn't necessarily run it as a Mission Pro thing because I think Mission Pro is very unknown to fans. But definitely just people she's close to, it wouldn't be that bad. Shame Monster says, Stardom needs to enter the door soon. Stardom talent have even liked my limited reach tweets about potential matches like Kyrie versus Jade and Mayu versus Hater.
Yeah, I think that's happening at some point. If we get another Forbidden Door next year, I can't see them not doing something with Stardom. Especially
that was even how they tried to acknowledge Tony Storm's presence at Forbidden Door was her history.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Tony said, that they were considering it. It just was a timing issue because Stardom had a pay-per-view that same weekend. But I think it'll be possible this year, especially with the IWGP Women's Championship. I think it's very possible that we could see that title defended at Forbidden Door next year.
Yep. Music and Moonsault says, Taven coming out to the Something For You /Suffer mashup. I see, hear the agenda. I told you guys. That was...
back, man.
Yeah. Now, granted, that wasn't anything I knew. That was just an idea of...
Yeah.
But once I heard it, I heard Something For You on AEW television, and I thought...
I was like, it's lit.
Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Let's see. Dante V says, Bernie Mac getting off the train and head of state and just slapping everyone who bothers him. Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, just thinking about him now, slapping people. Like, in a movie with Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anime Otaku says, bring back Mixed Match Challenge and let Shin and Asuka kick all the heads in. Those two as goofballs will murder people in ring. That will murder people in ring would be awesome. I don't want to see any of them, either of them doing like goofy stuff anymore. I'm going to be honest. I think, I posted a clip a couple of days ago, or it was almost 2 weeks ago, of the Judas being used as the theme for NXT TakeOver Chicago. And everybody in the comments was like, damn, I miss this Asuka. Asuka who was just, who was on this tear. And I'm hoping that Hunter having her off of TV for a little while is like, he has the ability to just bring her back and let's start over with Asuka as just somebody who fucking murders people and wins. Who is Asuka? I know there's a lot of people who like her in the kind of like R-Truthy type role where they're like, look at her, she's so funny, she's a national treasure, ha ha ha. But like, damn, she has so much more to offer than that, and I want to see her doing more of that.
Yeah, I think she's funny. I mean, look, I love Kana-chan TV. I think she's great on there. She has great personality, but I think that she's so good as a wrestler that I think it does a disservice to her to just try and make her into this joke character. And I still, to this day, don't think she's had a defining win on the main roster. And I know people
I fully agree.
I know people be like, but she won the Royal Rumble. She did this. I'm like, no, but they've always been attached to somebody else's storyline. It's never been her own story. It's never been her own win. And I think she's still owed that.
I fully agree. She won the Royal Rumble, and then Ronda Rousey came out and made her debut. She won the SmackDown Women's title at the end of that year because Ronda Rousey shoved Becky Lynch and Charlotte off the top of the ladder. It was not a defining win.
She won the Raw Women's Championship because Becky had to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, even the stuff with her winning at SummerSlam and doing double duty that night, that was really in service of building towards Sasha and Bayley's breakup. I mean, that was a great performance for Asuka, but more people were into the storyline with Becky. I mean, not Becky, but Bayley and Sasha that year than anything that Asuka had done.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a really good point. Yozora Hart says, or Yozora, excuse me, says, following the conversation, do you guys feel AEW has had an iconic shirt design yet in its first 3 years? Scissor Me Daddy Ass, I think, is the one. Besides that, not
anything. I feel like I see more AEW shirts of the logo of the company than I see of the wrestlers. Like when I go to shows, it's like more people are just buying the AEW shirt than like a specific wrestler.
Yeah.
Which is cool for them. But, I don't think there's like an iconic, like that's the one that everybody's buying yet. I mean, it's hard to make merch, man. Merch is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's iconic merch out here. I think that the Punk shirt did very well. I think that some of the initial Elite merch did very well.
Mm-hmm. Well, Young Bucks, yeah, I forget that they exist, and anytime that they put out shit, that it's lit. The Elite shirt, the one with the logo, yeah. That's probably the one.
Yeah, I think all of Blackpool Combat Club's merch has been tremendous as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got to think about something actually here. Something just showed up at my house, and I just realized it was probably a birthday present. I'm just going through all of my orders, and I just realized, so the Hikaru Shida Halloween shirt just showed up at my house. And, knowing me, a Shida fan, that's probably something I just, ordered and forgot about. But as I'm going through my orders, I never ordered that. Who bought me that? Thank you, whoever did.
Very cool.
I can break that news on this podcast. That is a gift from Denise Salcedo.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
How do I know that? Because I very sneakily was like, "Hey, Will, do you have this shirt?" And you were like, "No," and I was like, "Okay."
Oh. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Like I said, the funny thing is, when I buy stuff, I'm like, that's a shirt I would have just bought.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. Okay. So all of it. Look, okay, I know I give Denise shit all the time because it's fun. But yes, she definitely bought me 4 gifts for my birthday, and she's a really thoughtful person, incredibly thoughtful, and I appreciate her more than most people would realize. But she's a really, really great friend, and
That's
I appreciate
amazing.
that.
Shout out to Denise. Thanks for having us on the show. If you guys haven't seen the show, we looked very ridiculous in almost what we were wearing here with Denise. Promo Wars. Check it out on Denise's YouTube channel.
Penelope Ford. Let's see. Chicken Lil Curry says, this can wait for when you guys get to the topic. I'm hyped for Lee Moriarty's match with Mox. We can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Super excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited. All right. Moxley and Lee Moriarty. Seeing Lee Moriarty's year, how things have progressed for him this last year. And again, I always tell people when it comes to signees, because somebody gets signed and then within a couple weeks, people are like, "Oh, what happened to this signee?"
Right.
And I said this when Swerve signed, and we had actually had Jeff on the podcast that week, and I had said, patience when it comes to signees, especially because Swerve was very aware of that. Of like, look, I signed in a time where there's 10, 15 people ahead of me already. And so, like, nobody is signing with the expectation that they're going to cut the line in front of the guys who are already there. Now they're going to try and make their impression, and hopefully that gets enough attention to move them into that spot. But for the most part, most of the guys expect that My time is going to come when I'm given these opportunities. Lee Moriarty, I think, continues to make the best of the opportunities he gets. I thought Lee Moriarty actually kind of outshined Jonathan Gresham a little bit in their match. I thought Lee Moriarty came out of that looking like a guy. Like, between the two who were supposed to be making impressions on the fans, I thought if you were seeing both for the first time, I feel like fans may have walked away from that like, actually, Lee Moriarty's really impressive. I'm ready to see what he does on this stage as a heel. That's the thing I'm most excited for, is what is he going to do? You know, he has such a likable, valiant presence.
He does.
But what is he going to do with the guy in the company as a heel in this role? Curious.
Yeah. I like the changes he's made to his look. I like the Frank Ocean green hair. I'm excited. I think him getting a match with Punk and then getting a match with Mox is good for him. I think the second they're ready to push him in this feud with Garcia, whenever that happens, and we're getting like great pure matches out of the two of those guys. I think that's gonna further push him into the stratosphere. But I don't know. It's been one of those you gotta be patient things. But I'm glad he's getting a big TV match.
Oh my God, I can be more excited to see something happen. This Rampage went crazy. All my Negroes are shining. You guys know how I feel about Lee Moriarty. I came on this show a million times and said how much I love this guy. Been a fan of him for a long time. I knew if he giving the opportunity that he was going to knock it out of the park. I like exactly what he's doing now. He's playing a annoying little, annoying person that you just like, I hate this guy. I want to see him get punched in the mouth, but then you're going to see him in the ring and he's going to turn it around and he's going to do a bunch of things that are going to impress the crowd. And being able to work with Mox can get emotions. He could get different things out of these wrestlers that a lot of wrestlers just can't get. When you're in a match with Mox, you're going to be in a fight. You're going to be in some emotional filled roller coaster. And so it's going to be a really great moment for Lee and for Stokely to be there. I mean, like, just keep putting my pieces together. Like, just send me my check because I already booked all this. I did this. Why is this just happening? Why haven't I got my check yet? But no, it's really awesome to see everything that's going on. I'm super stoked about the match happening. Moxley has been on a run. Him wrestling on every show. They're like, there's a show. Here's Mox.
Yeah, awesome. You know what really gets me though? Lee Moriarty this year, 2022, has gotten to have dynamite matches with CM Punk earlier this year. He faced Bryan Danielson earlier this year. And now he's going to face Jon Moxley earlier this year. All these have been dynamite matches. Like, really happy for Lee Moriarty. He's 27. Like, this isn't a guy who it has a whole lot of, he's got a whole lot ahead of him to get those opportunities this year. And I pulled up the Bryan match. That match went 12 minutes, so it's not like these are short affairs, right? Like CM Punk, the match with Punk, how long did
Loved
that
go?
Match.
Loved it too.
Yeah. The match with Punk, they gave him 10 minutes with Punk.
It's really a testament to these wrestlers because guys like Bryan, guys like Punk,
Punk was last year, by the way. Sorry, that was late last year.
That's what I was about to ask. But I think that was last year.
But
it was December though. But
in general, they came in saying like, "I want to face the young guys. I want to be like." They would specifically be like, "I want to face Lee Moriarty. I want to face Daniel Garcia. I want to face Hobbs." And all these matches happened, and they actually did what they could do to help these young guys, and these young guys have ascended based off of that. Bryan Danielson helped Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia has a bigger name. Lee Moriarty's bit was in there with Punk. Hobbs was in there with Punk. Like, he was wrestling guys. I remember when Punk and Lee Moriarty match happened, fans are online like, who the fuck is Lee Moriarty? Why is he getting a CM Punk match? Why is he in there? Why is this? And like, what it's going to lead to. And it's leading to moments like this. Now we know who Lee Moriarty is. I also loved how Stokely was like, here's a video package because you guys are always complaining about video package. I'm going to show you exactly what Lee Moriarty does. He showed
That was
him what
great
he
stuff.
wanted.
And then they cut to Lee on the stage.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I loved it. And
Yeah, that
he's
was
just
great.
shadow boxing. I loved it. It was amazing.
It was great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Mox match has been kind of the seal of approval for all
Yeah.
three of those guys that signed around the same time, and
Right.
those are guys that are all guys that Brian has been like, hey, I wanted those guys over here with us,
Yep.
and so, yeah, I think the fact that they've all been kind of in that same kind of storyline around Blackpool Combat Club is very interesting. I mean, because all of the stuff they're doing with Yuta right now is great.
Yeah.
I think it's helping to give Yuta personality. I think all of the Garcia stuff has been great. So, yeah, Moriarty's the next guy. You got to help to push this guy forward now too.
Yeah, I love that little segment that they did after the match with Yuta and Bryan Danielson. And Bryan Danielson's
was
like,
very
hey,
good.
don't be talking to me like this, bro. I'll fuck you up back here. Yeah, loved it. I love what they're doing with everything
Yuta had some
surrounding that.
points.
He
Yuta
did.
had a point.
He did make a couple points, though. I'm not mad at
I
him.
mean, are we going with? Because like Full Gear is coming up here. Are they going with Brian versus Yuta? Like I
Looks
didn't
like
think
that
that's
might
where
be
they were
leading
heading.
to, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, but I like the way that they strung those segments together. They set up them having the meeting, and so that by the end of the show, when they were locked in that locker room, it was because they told us they were going to have the meeting earlier in the night.
Yeah.
And man, all of the firm stuff that they did with Max was great. I don't believe you, Max. I do not believe you. I do not buy any of this face
I
turn
think he's
stuff.
capping.
I don't buy it, man. And I saw
You
somebody.
think this is Survivor Series '98?
Exactly.
No, I'm not buying it, man.
I'm
All of
still
us-
going with I think I'm been even convinced more that Regal's going to make the switch and Regal's going to be with Max as Max wins the world championship. I think that's where the story's leading.
That'd be very interesting because they're doing the Yuta stuff at the same time.
Right.
And
Oh,
I think
Fightful Select dropped the three people I was talking about, by the way. So you
Yeah.
can now go to Fightful Select. I will give it 10 minutes before we actually say who it is. Because
Can I guess?
No.
Wait, yo, so the Regal stuff is interesting because if Regal does side with MJF, I could see Yuta leaving with him.
Yeah. Me too. Because they set it up with the promo that Max and Yuta did, and Yuta's been having a little bit extra aggression, a little bit of chip on his shoulder. They're doing some great stuff out here, you guys. I'm really into it.
Oh, and I'm glad I didn't say all three because Sean only dropped one of them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Blowing up
so-
the spot.
Yeah. All right. There's more happening though. But anyway, I do want to talk about the Larry the dog story because this was a big deal. Shout out Nick Hausman, who of course has been very present when it comes to wrestling media altogether. Nick Hausman, of course, pretty much if there's a wrestling event going on, he has been there. He hasn't missed any of the media scrums. I've missed one this year, but I went and watched it. Nick Hausman's there. And that one I missed, by the way, was Death Before Dishonor. But other than that,
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, isn't Death Before Dishonor where Nick asked the Colt Cabana question? I think it is.
I think it was.
Interesting.
So either way, Nick has been on it this year. Nick, though, after... so it was actually on CM Punk's birthday. How do I know this? Because I share a birthday with CM Punk. Although I could have sworn he was 10 years older than me, but all of a sudden Wikipedia says he's 9 years older than me. And I think that's interesting. But also, Wikipedia has Swerve's birthday wrong. And by that, I mean the year is incorrect. But that's never been changed. He even said on his podcast, when he was talking with Britt Baker, he even said, yeah, I'm 33 years old. And he was just going on. And I'm like, Wikipedia does not have you at 33 years old. But that is an accurate statement when he says that.
I mean, I would think he would know what his birthday is at minimum.
So I think it's interesting that they have his year wrong. I'm sure somebody will immediately go fix that with me saying that on this podcast now. But anyway, CM Punk, on his birthday, he was his camp reached out to Nick Hausman, the very Nick Hausman who was the initial journalist addressed at the beginning of the the
whole brawl out
everything
situation.
it started really when he addressed Nick Hausman and talked about Nick Hausman doing improv, all of that. Regardless, Nick dropped a story in which CM Punk's camp gave their side of the story. They felt it was time for them to speak since, obviously, the Elite is back. They were backstage at Dynamite. I've been hearing rumblings all day about it. I texted you guys. I was like, I think they're here. But because everybody was hearing it, then it was confirmed that at the very least Don Callis was backstage. So there's something happening. If they drop a BTE this week, because you know that there's no way they were backstage this week without doing something, then we know that things are starting to build up. But regardless, on a day where there's a video package dropped for the Elite, CM Punk's camp decides to make sure some things are known. And one of the things that they let the world know was that Larry, CM Punk's dog, was injured. I was just talking with Stephanie Chase on Day After Dynamite about this. Could you have imagined, for those who weren't in the building at All Out, going to paint a picture for you, but at All Out, before the show got started, Larry got out. Right? That was like a big thing. Crowd was like cheering because Larry got out backstage. And
didn't the young homie AJ Awesome ask Tony about it at the scrum too?
Larry ran around the arena and all of that. And then CM Punk had to basically come out a little bit early, and he got himself a pop in front of the crowd before the show had started because he had to come grab Larry really quick. And then he kind of waves to the audience. Crowd is like, yeah, Larry. Who would have guessed that by the end of the night, Larry would have become a big part of the story after we saw that, right? Like, it was a cute little story of, man, Larry's backstage. How cute is this? So the story, of course, is that during the brawl, pretty much before it all started, Larry was hurt by the door swinging open, and CM Punk's camp says that Larry had to have 2 teeth removed after that incident. As I said,
they were removed? I thought they were just loose.
They said the teeth were knocked loose. I thought they said that they were knocked loose in the incident, and then at an appointment later, the teeth had to be removed or something along those lines. I thought that's what it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. But either way, Larry had teeth knocked loose in the incident. So first thing I want to preface, because I'm not having that conversation. Said this on Day After Dynamite. No one is implying animal cruelty took place intentionally. No one has implied, not even CM Punk's camp has implied, because I saw people going, well, if they harm that dog, they need to be fired. Nobody is implying that somebody intentionally harmed the dog. As a matter of fact, all the stories so far have been basically a case of who was looking after the dog and who rescued the dog.
Right.
But as far as this is concerned, nobody intentionally harmed an animal in this case. So I don't even want to have that conversation. That is silly. And I don't think anybody should necessarily be, other than maybe paying the doctor bill, nobody needs to be held to account on that.
Right.
In my view.
I agree.
Seems like it was an accident.
No matter what, it seems like an accident. And
if it happened, it seems like it was an accident.
And that seems to be what everybody's implied. I feel like Punk's camp even implied, like, you hit my dog. No, he wasn't saying you intentionally hit my dog, but you still deserve a receipt for that.
I think it's funny that dogs are such a big thing in American culture. It's like, man, people will get upset about dogs. I mean, that is the whole driving factor of the first John Wick movie. They murdered the dog, and that was it. That was the thing that got him out of retirement. So when I think about that, that's like, thinking about his dog getting hit, and then Punk just slicking his hair back like, nah, it's go time.
Not Larry.
Not Larry.
It was fine before y'all came in, but then y'all touched my dog. Now it's really on.
So I don't know what happened. Of course, we're still in the dark about some things with this because we have 2 drastically different takes on what happened. Of course, we have eyewitnesses on one side that corroborate some of the other side's story, but it's still in the dark. One of the things that I thought was very weird from that report is with the Hangman stuff, he says that he was afraid that it was going to break down into a shoot in the match. And then I saw people take that to go, oh, man, typical Punk. He's talking all this shit, and he's afraid of a fight. No, that's not what that meant.
Right.
And Meltzer kind of said the same thing. And I'm glad he read it the same way because I was like, no, look, when you're wrestling, I'm not a wrestler, of course, but from what I understand, when you're a wrestler, you're putting your life in somebody else's hands. You're trusting them to do what they say they're going to do when you get in a ring. And if I feel like I can't trust you in a promo, if you're going to go out on TV and say something without telling me, then yeah, I have reason to question, are you going to do everything you say in a match? Now, of course, that sounds crazy in response to Hangman because he has no history of doing that.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
But we're talking about Punk, who was clearly paranoid at this point.
Right.
And, you know, in his thinking, I have reason to not trust this guy because he went out there and shot on me in a promo. So
Right.
I thought that part was weird that people were taking that to, oh man, he was scared of a fight. No, that's not what I took that to mean. I think he was uncomfortable with the situation. And he's clearly got trust issues backstage with people following everything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Larry part. I don't know what to make of all of this stuff dropping, but Meltzer did kind of say what I thought when I first saw the report. I was like, okay, the investigation must be over because I don't think
Everybody's talking now.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he would have put that out after the investigation. I saw a lot of people saying, well, why wasn't this in the findings for the investigation? And I was like, because it feels like he's trying to put that information out there now. And I feel like you're going to learn more about the Elite side. They might not come out and say it themselves, but I feel like more stuff is going to come out now that the investigation is over.
Definitely.
That was definitely my takeaway from all of this, especially with the promo being on the air and everything.
I mean,
was
it
like,
kind of
okay.
did in Meltzer's thing. Meltzer
Yeah.
kind of gave up a lot of what.
Yeah,
the
Meltzer
other
gave
side
up a
was
lot.
doing.
Fightful Select had the first drop on Chris Jericho's involvement, which is kind of the first we had heard about that, where that Jericho, and it's interesting too because
Jericho.
if people might recall during the scrum, I certainly do. I was sitting right there.
Yep.
That during the scrum, Chris Jericho had come out. Like Jericho was, the word is that the Elite were supposed to come speak about their Trios Championship win. We didn't get the Elite, and then we got Jericho instead. Jericho is probably going to come later because he never misses these. He loves this stuff. And then Jericho whispers to Tony as he's getting up, "Hey, we got a thing backstage."
Some shit went down.
Yeah, some shit. Yeah, what was it? Yeah, he said some shit went down. Right? And so, forgot
And
about
Tony's
that.
in scrum mode, so it's not really connecting in his brain. He's just like, all right, I'll talk to you later. But he doesn't really understand the magnitude of what just had the whole course of his company just changed backstage.
Some shit went down is quite the way to put that too. But Jericho, so the story was that Jericho had told CM Punk that he was a cancer to the locker room and that he basically
Which
told him, "We don't
I
want
was
you
like,
here."
wait, does he have the wrong Chicago feel? Like, no, my birthday's in June. It's cool that you know my birthday, even though you have me blocked. But no, I'm a Cancer.
And that Meltzer got a lot of quotes in the latest Observer. A lot of
I
it
wonder
sounds
who he
like
got those from.
I know a lot of it sounds like it's from Jericho. I don't know who it's from, but a lot of
Right,
it does sound.
who would paint this great picture of Jericho like this and make him look like this defiant hero for the locker room that stood up to CM Punk other than, I don't know, Chris Jericho?
Now, Fightful put in the report that we reached out to Chris Jericho for comment and did not get it. So for the Fightful report that came out before the Observer one was not from Chris Jericho, and it is specified in the report. But as far as Jericho is concerned, it is all really interesting. The information that Meltzer got, if you read that Observer, it's a really, really detailed report. He talked to multiple people. Some of the people he talked to are corroborating that Kenny did grab the dog and and hand him over to Mega in all of the incidents. So at least when Fightful reported back in September that when they heard from the Elite side of the story that Kenny had gone after the dog, that at least seems to be corroborated by somebody else, not in that story.
I'm just people thinking that Kenny was like going to beat up Larry. Like he went after the dog because he was gonna punch Larry. Like, no, he's trying to get him out of the city. Like, what did they think he was gonna do? Pile drive Larry or something?
Yeah, I just think how everybody is painting their side of the story is just so interesting, and I mean, it's a classic sitcom trope of three people tell a different story, and it feels the same way. Like, of course, the leader, like, no, man, we were just going in there to talk to the guy, and by the way, Kenny Omega saved his dog, and it's like,
you're right. And Punk's like, nope, actually the opposite. He punched my dog. That's the reason that he was going towards my dog.
I want to see it play out sitcom style, right? Where like CM Punk is like, well, this is what happened. And then all of a sudden the wavy lines come and CM Punk is just like, CM Punk is just sitting in his locker room, just like crocheting a quilt. And then all of a sudden,
it's like somebody playing a harp in the back. It's all that beautiful music.
Right. And then all of a sudden the door just busts in. All of a sudden you hear electric guitar. It's like, eh.
It's like that one scene in Fresh Prince where they keep they're out in the Uncle Phil comes to yell at them that pay rent. It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And then when the door hits, all of a sudden, like the door just blasts open and Larry just like splats behind it, and CM Punk's just like, my dog. And then he like buffs up like Superman. He's like, I am here to avenge my animal. And then just like swings on everybody. And then on the other side of it, they're like, the Elite's like, no, this is what really happened. And then we get the wavy lines. And CM Punk is just like, he's just like got a meth lab in his.
There's like red lines coming out of his head. He's so pissed.
And then they just like open the door gently and they're like, Mr. Punkerson, we just want to speak with you about your actions earlier today. And he's like, actions? I'll show you actions. And just start swinging on.
He still is in the back eating a steak with his hands.
They got Ace up out of here, boy.
They got Ace off.
Ace said nothing else about it. They're like, nah, Ace is gone.
He's gone.
That's it about that. He's gone.
And then the real story is just like somewhere way in between that has like nothing to do with anybody's.
Mm-hmm.
But we make sure that when we see the Elite side of the story, Kenny's like, oh, defenseless animal. Let me make sure that I've taken care of this.
Kenny's just dodging shots to get to the dog to help him out.
I know. They like play like the Matrix. He's like, I have to get to the dog beyond this barrage. And then all of a sudden, like, a shark just comes over, but it looks like Ace Steel. And it's like, oh, no, he's going to bite me.
This is so silly, man.
Stupid.
Oh, my God.
Nah, honestly, I don't know. I'm just excited to have things going back to a little bit of normal on TV because, man, I don't want to hear about no more backstage stuff. I really just want to watch the show.
Right, I'm over it.
A new rag asks, he says, do you think there's a chance Punk will show up again at AEW after all the drama and chaos, or do you think, or is it done deal that he's gone? What about the AEW game? All right, I've been waiting to be asked.
Great question.
So, great question. If a decision on CM Punk had to be made right this second, I say no, CM Punk is gone. However, Punk's injured. He's going to be out months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling has taught me one thing. Unless you're Goldberg and Bret Hart, time heals all wounds in wrestling, I feel. Right. Will time heal this one? I don't know. But crazier things have happened.
Right.
So, I mean, Ultimate Warrior came back after years of being on the out. They made a DVD about Ultimate Warrior. They called it, they buried him in a whole DVD documentary. He came back, made amends, fucking died. And so
Yeah, so like if they revisit this situation in 6 months, they're like, all
Like,
right, everything's
it's
the
6
investigation's over, they're back on TV, everything's going down. How do you guys feel about CM Punk backstage? Things could be very different. It's professional wrestling. People forget about shit. People forgive. It's like business, money trumps all. And I think this could be that situation.
Like right now in a situation where all the guys are asked, do you want CM Punk in the locker room? And it seems to be kind of a unanimous no, right? 8 months from now,
right?
If somebody is asked, do you want to work a program with CM Punk? I know there's a few people, and I even know who they are, who would straight up say no. But I also know there's a few people, and I know who they are, who would go, make some money with CM Punk? I'd do it. And so right now, I think because the situation is still so heated, we're only a month removed from it. Again, if a decision had to be made right now, I think it's a no. But I think Tony, his biggest triumph as a booker, I think, is bringing CM Punk out of retirement, having that moment at the United Center, having the first dance, having that to his credit to be able to say that he did that. I think if Tony can prevent the end of CM Punk's AEW run being that, I think Tony's going to do whatever he can to do it. That's just my gut feeling.
Right.
That my theory on why he hasn't spoken on it, maybe I'm wrong, just my conjecture. My theory on why he hasn't said anything, not just the investigation, but because he's not ready to write anybody off in this. Right. A lot of people thought the Elite were done after this. The Elite are back. The Elite are back in the fold.
I don't know why you would think that.
Yeah, I know. I saw that from a lot of people that are like, maybe none of the 4 come back. Maybe they just establish what we're seeing on TV now as the show. And the Elite are back. They're back in the fold. I think
and they got a little saucy with that vignette too. I think the overall tone of that vignette was this don't exist without us.
We them boys. We made this. Like I say every time I talk about the Young Bucks, I'm like, this shit wouldn't exist without the Young Bucks, and that's what they said in that little vignette.
Yeah. And so again, if a decision has to be made right now, I think Punk's out. If they can kick the can down the road till Punk's healed and able to work again, I don't know. Nick Hausman talked about the fact that he doesn't think CM Punk is going to wrestle again at all. That he thinks, just having talked to the camp, that it sounds like there's just a little bit of, kind of burnout after this run. But again, time heals everything. And
they thought he wasn't going to wrestle again 2 years ago.
And he might be thinking the same thing that you said about Tony. Like Punk might be sitting at home thinking, I don't want it to end like that. I don't want my everything I did to come back. I was a champion. I don't want it to end on everybody thinking I'm this person that did this backstage thing. I want it to end with triumph. I want to end in the ring. So, like this injury plays a big role in what's going to happen. Like if he wasn't injured, it'd be a totally different. It'd be a totally different thing right now, but that plays a big role in this. So, and then on top of the video, he also asked about the video game. CM Punk's going to be on the cover of that video game, no matter what happens.
They're not taking him off.
They're not going to.
Now that said, I'm sure it probably burns Kenny just a little bit to be like, I got to work on this game. I got to promote this game. I'm the spokesperson for this game, and I'm selling you something that's got CM Punk smack dab in the middle of it. Like at least put a price tag over his face just so I don't have to look at it.
Give him the Mike Wazowski.
Or the Donald Trump. People forget that WWE for a little bit lost the licensing for Donald Trump's existence because Trump owns his likeness. And so when they were selling the WrestleMania 30 or 23 DVDs, they would put a sticker over it that's just hot, exciting product, and it was over Donald Trump's face on the cover.
Hot, exciting product. That's hilarious.
Just to make sure that they're look, we're not abusing the likeness of Donald Trump here. Ew. But I don't know. I mean, the game is the game. I have wondered, because we've heard very little about the video game pretty much since Tokyo Game Show, and I have wondered, how has Kenny's suspension affected progress on that game? And I don't have the answer for that. Only because when I say I have wondered, I mean in the last 10 minutes. I should ask somebody about that.
You should.
So,
Because didn't he like not do a booking that like he was gonna be at the wrestling at the show, the Tokyo show?
I mean, I know he was because he was scheduled to go anyway, and he ended up going.
Right.
He just didn't end up working.
He didn't end
the
up
booth
working.
at Tokyo Game Show or any of that stuff. So, and he wasn't there to speak to the game to Japanese media. And I do wonder, like now that he's back in the fold,
What's up?
what's up? I want to see more of the game. Are you kidding me? I fully associate that game now with Brick Phone. That song now. When I see that, whenever I think of anything of that game, I'm just thinking ring, 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 ring.
My song is on that game.
Here's
Put that fucking game out. Get us a release date or something, man. I'm
I
trying
know.
to hear that.
Righteous Reg has a song in that game.
It's crazy. out
People
here.
have seen it. People have watched the clip now, and the first thing you hear when you watch that clip, which is CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, the first thing you hear when you watch that clip, Righteous Reg.
Me.
It's so dope. It's still
crazy.
one of my favorite things.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Crazy
I understand what you're saying, Will. I want to be optimistic, but I kind of think he's gone. And hey, that could be me hedging my bets in case he's not gone, so that I'm not getting my hopes up.
See, it's the Chicago Bulls thing all over again.
Look,
huh?
yeah, I'm the same way. I feel like that's my never say never take.
Right.
Whereas like realistically, I'm like he's gone, but also
Probably.
like there's no realistic in pro wrestling.
There is.
I
No,
was
of
told
course
Bryan
not.
Danielson's never gonna wrestle again.
Exactly.
I was,
Yeah, of course.
I don't know what. Again, for me, until somebody's in the ground, nothing is final in pro wrestling.
I mean, for a long time, I thought he wouldn't come back. Punk.
I
so-
thought he wasn't going to wrestle again for a long
Yeah.
time.
So
But yeah, look, if I had the choice, I don't want him to go back there. It's something about how deflating it would feel for him to go back there after everything. I mean, this company fired the guy.
He's
on his
specifically
wedding
saying
day.
WWE, by the way.
Yeah, WWE. I mean, yeah, this company fired him on his wedding day. I mean, they all the stuff around this misdiagnosed staph infection. I mean, they essentially cost him his friendship with Colt. I think that's one of the things with Colt that people missed out on. If they're not constantly dragging these two back into court, maybe they're still friends today. Maybe they're not. I don't know, but that did play a part into why they're not friends anymore.
Yes.
So it would feel a bit deflating to see him go back there. Now, there are reasons, there are good things that he could do in WWE. If you're giving me, some of the dream matches that he could have there, yeah, I would take them. But
Phil literally dreams about CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Like this
Yeah.
is.
I mean, I don't know if I
Great
dream
match.
about it, but
I mean, these are your two favorite wrestlers. There's nobody. If I said to a random Grapsody listener, who is Phil Lindsey most known for standing, it would be
them too.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
yeah. And I mean, I would say Oscar's probably my favorite wrestler, but it's still, I just don't, I don't, a part of me doesn't want to see him go back there. And so a part of me would like to see them just do business and him hang in there at AEW. But I also understand that, that just might not happen. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we said on this podcast and talked about it. I think we got a good run if he doesn't.
Right.
But it's such a tough situation because, like I said, if it was just the stuff at the scrum, or even if it was just the stuff in the scrum and then the fight afterwards, I could see that. But it's more than that, and it seems like it's more of a mistrust with him.
Right.
And I feel like there's more of a habitual line stepper thing with him at this point too. And so I think there's more of a hurdle to get over than it really seems like. I don't know. It's all very disappointing. It's disappointing that this is where we're at with this. But
I didn't want to see the run in this way at all.
Like it's feeling like the all out thing was like the final nail in the coffin, not like the thing that blew it all up. Like they were leading to that big moment with everything.
To be fair,
Yeah.
though, like everything was like positive about him, really until he came back.
Right.
Where like when you think about, he only got injured 1 week after that Hangman promo, right? So like that was one of those. Oh, we had a little bit of a hiccup here, but like for the most part, his run's been really successful. Then he came back and went into business for himself on the Hangman stuff, and then it was like, shit, now we have a real problem. and then it was like, okay, maybe we're over that. Maybe they both got their stuff in. And then he did the media scrum, and then shit just blew up after that. And it's like, damn, really, that was like 4 nights out of an entire out of this run that everybody was so positive on to start with. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's sad, but I mean, the positive of this is at least the Elite is back. I thought the vignette they showed was great. I'm
curious what it means. I like there's so many places that can go, but I appreciated that at the very least. Again, I could speculate on what it's all supposed to mean and what it's leading to, but at least at the very surface level of it, you can say that it did address for fans who've been wondering, like, if you don't follow the internet stuff, and there's got to be a lot of people that don't. If you don't follow the internet stuff, and you've asked yourself, what the hell happened to the Young Bucks? Didn't Kenny come back? That was a big thing. What the hell happened to all of that?
I watched All Out and they won the belts, and then they weren't here at the next show.
Or like I didn't even, or if you didn't watch All Out, because like that's usually like a tenth of the audience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of just like I was watching Dynamite one week. We saw the Elite beat Aussie Open, and then that following week they're like, actually the Elite's not here anymore.
No, they didn't even say that. They just weren't here.
They just weren't here. And so this was one of the first time that, at least for fans like that, this has been addressed. That, okay, where the hell have these guys been? The guys who call themselves the Elite in a company called All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it's building to the match with Death Triangle.
For the belts.
Although there's a piece of me that like would love for Kenny's name to be announced in the tournament. I know it's not going to be, but as they're announcing all these names, if the last one they drop is Kenny Omega, and it's like, hey, the tournament that he originally won.
Oh yeah, and you did pitch the Winter is coming.
Because that's the one I want to see. Yeah, that's the one I want to see. But
yeah, at this point, I would like to see Ethan Page win that tournament.
I'm into it.
I would love to see that.
They set it up pretty good.
I would like to see Starks. I would like to see Starks get it. I think that would
Starks would be good too.
Yeah. I think if there were ever a way to capitalize on what's feeling like lost momentum for him, that's the way for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Promo battles with Max will be pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because they'd have weeks to do it, because Full Gear is November 19th. Winter is coming is what, December 14th? And so that's 4 weeks between those two. Mm-hmm. You got plenty of time that you can really do some stuff, and I would love to see that, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah. It's interesting because they also, it's so many things happened around the same time. So they announced that mystery opponent for Jericho, which now is like, who could it be?
Who the hell is this?
It's somebody from ROH. Maybe
I swear to God, if Boom Boom hits, I'm gonna fucking
Cabana.
Why it has to be Colt Cabana at this point.
No, I don't know. I can't.
After the story come out, and then he's
that would be hilarious.
I punked out
know,
with the homie, and now I'm having a match with Colt Cabana.
I feel like Tony would do as much as he could to keep that away from like.
Tony doesn't want to get involved. Yeah,
to keep that away from his show.
I could also see him doing that as look, he's not gone. Look, what do you mean he was gone? He's right there. Look, he's right here. Mm-hmm.
But
he's on TV right now.
But that would also confirm to fans that the reason he wasn't on TV was
right.
CM Punk.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Some people would take
pretty
it that
touchy
way.
subject there.
Yeah, but they've got plenty of options for that. But then we also got those clips from House of Black where it's just like, all right, we got to go back to work. So get out of that pool or whatever water you're in, Matt.
Buddy.
Come on. Come out of the dark. Cut the lights on. What are you doing over there, Alistair? Malachi. Your name's not Alistair anymore. Get out of darkness. Come back in here. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like with 3 more Dynamites still Full Gear, they're pretty much like, okay, it's now time to ramp things back up, get things back in motion, and anybody who's been off for a little while, it's time to come back. I mean, do you see the picture Lana posted with Damian Priest, Miro, and all of them just chilling?
Maybe she's coming back to WWE. Maybe she's the next return. Yo, listen, if
She's not one of the ones I was talking about, by the way.
if we tune in to Raw and I hear da na 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 da da na na, I'm like, yo, wait a minute, man. Triple H is out of control with these returns, man.
I'm trying to think who Triple H brought back from this Fightful Selects report.
Oh, well, we haven't talked about the return for this week. We got the
Yeah, we got Emma's back.
and they didn't use the CFO music. Just
What?
listen, just use the CFO music, WWE. Stop it. Stop.
Dropping dropping people in cold. It feels like I felt like that's what they did with Candice LeRae. It's like, I know who Candice LeRae is. I watch PWG. I watch NXT. But a lot of those fans don't know who you're dropping into the show.
I think Candice LeRae has been their biggest misstep in terms of dropping her.
And I kind of felt like that for Emma too, because they know, like, some people know who Emma is, but just dropping her in cold, like with her name, and she hasn't been Emma for a long time.
We might have to have a conversation about this Gargano return as well.
Oh,
man.
Gargano return is pretty.
It's very not for me. I'm not gonna say that it's.
We might have to have a conversation, buddy.
Because and I'll say this: I like Johnny Gargano.
Yes, but
I don't think, for the most part, wrestling humor is very good in general.
Most of the time, it's pretty trash.
But but there's an exceptional number of people who, I was gonna say, are the exception, not the rule. Typically, wrestling humor to me is just never funny. But there's guys like R-Truth who run away with it. Sami Zayn runs away with it.
Yeah, R-Truth was great, by the way, this week.
Yeah.
On NXT, he made me laugh when he was like, he said that Grayson Waller was smoking in the casket. He's like, I'm about to come back here. Truth is hella funny, dude.
The Gargano segments on Raw.
Ugh.
I thought this was one of the first times in Gargano's run in WWE, back in WWE, where I feel like fans could turn on him.
They're making him into when people clown on Johnny Gargano, like Jim Cornette and those guys, for example, this is what they say is wrong with him. And they're leaning into him being a big dork, because his whole thing is that he's a big dork, but like, you want to see him win. He watched wrestling his whole life. But if you lean into it really hard and make him a dork, we're going to also think he's a dork.
It was a lot of dad humor there. And then I'm gonna say it. Look, this was the worst Raw of the Triple H era. It was. It was a very bad Raw.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I concur. I did not like Raw at all. It felt like it was odd how much. It was odd how much the show. I saw that a lot. I saw people tweeting like, "Is Vince back? This show feels like Vince is back." But more than anything, the show just felt like it was lacking in like star power a little bit. And again, I didn't think the show did Gargano any favors. I think that tying him up with Miz.
No one cares about Miz and Dexter Lumis at all, and they just keep going with it.
It has lost a lot of fanfare. And then on top of that, I thought losing to Corbin. Also, a lot of distraction finishes on the show.
Also, Corbin has the worst entrance music, I think. Like, that shit is
God. It's so bad.
Awful.
But you got JBL coming out doing, back in my era, you wouldn't even be here. It's like, no, get out of here, bro. Like, I don't want this. Get out of here.
And the thing about Gargano, though, was that it didn't even come off like a smart loss. Like, he grabbed JBL's hat. What did you think JBL was going to do? Like, he grabbed the hat and then danced in it. Like, I thought Gargano looked like a dork out there. And then on top of that, he didn't lose his. I did not think this was a good week for Gargano at all. And I'm hoping they can right that ship, because I like Gargano.
Me too.
And I was one of the people saying that I don't think
too long to.
Oh my God, so long.
I was one of the people saying that I don't think Gargano's a good fit for AEW. I think Gargano should stick with WWE. Don't let me be wrong on that. Don't let me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think they could. They just got to get him away from the Miz. They're trying to do this, and he can't be a goofy. They can't have him and Chad Gable and all these dudes doing this goofy shit because it's just.
Oh my god! You just reminded me that segment with. Oh my god! That segment with Gable backstage with Riddle and. It's such bad humor. It's just
awful.
Not good, man.
Just doesn't work.
I'm not into wrestling humor because like it all feels. And I felt that, the funny thing too is that I used to feel that when I was a kid. When I was like 10 years old and I'd see wrestling humor, I feel like it was written for me when I was 5. And I was like, I didn't think it was funny when I was 10 years old. I'm like, this sucks.
I mean, I've come on this podcast and said that I got to get my interview, so I can't say his name out loud. That I don't like a lot of this person's humor that was one of the greatest of all times because a lot of that shit just wasn't funny.
With your Rudy Poo.
I'm saying, as I always say, the brother he told someone to drink shut up juice before. That's not funny.
But it was funny. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Funny. Like, what is that?
No, but I do want to talk about where wrestling humor hit.
But I want my interview, bro. I'm sorry. I loved it all. Actually, it was the funniest shit I ever seen in my whole life. Black Adam.
I want to talk about where wrestling humor did hit. This week, the Bloodline segment was one of the best things. But again, it's not intentional humor. The stuff that gets you going is the stuff that's like the stuff you would laugh at in an everyday situation.
Oh,
and
man.
I just...
No, when Sam Zayn said he's not acting very oosy, and Jay is trying so hard not to laugh. He looks at Roman like, help me. He's trying to get help from Roman, but Roman's like, I'm dying too. I can't do this.
No, the funniest thing about it is he's trying to turn the other direction away from the hard cam to not
Roman
laugh
turns
the
him
camera.
around.
And Roman turns around like, no, over here. Hilarious.
Hella funny.
Yeah. Look, some wrestling humor is good. I just found a lot of stuff from Raw this week to be terribly unfunny. But I thought all of the stuff from the Bloodline segment was great. I love that they leave it all unfinished every time. They never give us a resolution at the end of these segments, so it's left open ended. I thought this was great. I don't know where they're going with this, but if you did want to make Sami Zayn champion, I would not be mad at that. I think they're going with Jay. It feels like the story is Jay getting the big win over Roman here.
Yeah, I think ultimately they're all going to turn on Sami. I think they
are too.
Yeah,
but I can see Sami turning on them as well.
I think the only reason I don't think Sami is because is going to be the one turning is because at least the story has never written itself as Sami being smarter than them.
Right.
But they all come off as smarter than Sami. I think it has always felt like Sami legitimately believes everything that's going on here, that he's not one step ahead of them.
Well,
in any way.
That's what made all of this stuff so interesting when Jey Uso was saying all of that stuff and he was saying, you're not one of us, and everybody else around him was straight faced. Nobody was disagreeing with him. The only time that they really broke and turned around like you're out of line is when he was like, I don't give a damn about what the tribal chief says. And the way that looked like telling the like him like popping up and then the camera zoomed in and he did like that slow turnaround. What do you mean?
And Jimmy was in the back like, oh shit, you should have not said that.
By the way, Jimmy was an all-timer this week with his sleeveless suit jacket at the premiere of Black Panther. All-timer.
Shout out to the Black Panther premiere, too, for all that black excellence.
Yeah, of course. Black wrestler doing the Cuff It Challenge was dope. I mean, come on, man. Every time we get a chance to see Naomi happy and doing what she likes to do. I think that Naomi is one of the few wrestlers that makes the TikTok stuff look good.
Yeah. She makes anything look good, honestly.
It was great to see New Day together again on the red carpet as well. And them brothers was clean.
Ooh. Yeah. Very beautiful. Sasha was looking amazing, too. I mean, come on.
I mean,
she's every time you see her.
Yeah, she's still teasing stuff, and I'm gonna tell her just like I told MJF. I don't believe you, Sasha. I think you're going back. You could go and take pictures with all these Joshi wrestlers. I think you would be back in WWE. I don't believe you.
Well, with that story coming out that she's still under contract, they're not gonna.
I think she'll be back.
Yeah, I would agree too. She's definitely going to be back in the world's wrestling entertainment.
Yes.
Probably before the Royal Rumble, I'd say.
Travoris says, "What's good, homies? Question: do y'all think Master P I'm Bout It movie is the most hood movie ever? It's either that or I Got the Hookup.
Yeah,
Some Master P.
all of those straight to DVD movies are hood classic. And if you watch the Ask Grapsody this week, you know that I don't like a certain Mr. LeBron James. I think what he's doing with House Party is a travesty. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's a travesty.
The trailer wasn't that bad.
It
but
didn't
also,
look that bad to me.
But I will say, Phil's defense. I am not one to fall for trailers anymore. I was just talking about this on Ask Grapsody. I did say that, like, a good trailer does not represent a good movie. As a matter of fact, making a good trailer is itself is a skill. If you're good at making trailers, you're basically just good at selling the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think the trailer was that bad.
I hate.
Does that mean the movie's
I'm
gonna be
probably
good?
gonna hate it.
I thought that trailer looked bad. I'm sorry. I thought it looked bad. I don't understand why. Why does he need to be in the movie? Like, why is
He produced it.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's such a young crowd thing that I feel like he looks like the old guy at the party now. Like, it's
Right.
just like
They should have
I don't
got
know.
like John Moran or something to be.
it doesn't look good. And I'm like, I just don't think a lot of this generation understands the appeal of House Party either. Like, I think he's trying to put a foot in both parties, and it's like, no, look, I am a part of something that's cool that older people in the 30s knew about, and they don't understand these references. But look at all these young up and comers that look. I know young stuff. Like, look, I listen to Moneybagg Yo as well. Like, nah, man, it's like, nah.
Don't let Phil get on the LeBron hate again. We'll be here.
The
for
movie
another
looks
hour.
bad. I'm sorry, it looks bad. Movie looks bad, and I have yet to see Space Jam. That also looked like a travesty.
Yeah,
like, stop it. Stop remaking movies. Just do something different.
Do something
I'll
else.
say this about Space Jam. That movie got played in my house. It's been seen probably at least 15 times.
Okay.
Billy was so obsessed with Space Jam after that movie that after it came out for Christmas, he asked for LeBron James action figures. Like, I didn't like the movie, but I turned my head and saw a kid who was just like, yes.
The target
that
audience.
was it.
Like
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Because you know what, though? And granted, this is where Phil and I might disagree, because Phil is a Chicago man. I didn't like the original Space Jam. As a kid, I didn't like original Space
But
Jam.
I mean, it's a long commercial for his comeback to basketball. That's all it is. It's a long commercial. I mean, Space Jam isn't really meant to be a good movie, and that's why I'm like, why would you remake that? Like, it's meant to be a marketing ploy. That everything about it is a marketing ploy.
I mean, I love the soundtrack, and like I in my spare time when I'm like bored, I throw on Looney Tunes because like it's easy watching that I've seen
It
a
is.
million times since I was a kid, and so like I love Looney Tunes. Those are some of my favorite characters ever. The third rabbit season, duck season, one of the best cartoons ever produced.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that movie did not hit for me at all. And the way we're like, remember Space Jam? And I'm like, yeah, I remember For You I Will by Monica. And I remember a really
Space
great
Jam. Is
I remember,
your
yeah,
dance,
Quad
take
City
your
DJs. I remember a
hand,
really great
Space
soundtrack.
Jam.
But
All right.
the movie,
Wave your hands in
jam.
the air if you feel fine. We're gonna take it into overdrive.
so come into Space Jam. Yeah, so no, I remember there was when that movie came out on VHS. My mom bought it, and I never got a chance to see it in theaters, but all my friends talked about it, and so I've got a chance
That
to
might
sit
be
down.
what it is because I saw it in theater. It was an experience to see it in theater at the
I think I
time.
saw it in
So
theaters too.
I watched it, and I was like, that's it. And I was like
Don't hit
9
the
years
same.
old, and I'm like, that's it. That's what everybody was talking about. And then I remember in class in the 4th grade, you know, we had the movie days where teacher would wheel in the cart, and we got to vote on a movie we wanted to watch. And
Thunderous pop every
Yeah.
time that TV came in.
we voted on a movie we got to watch, and everybody's like, Space Jam, Space Jam. And granted, you have to know where I went to school. It's all black kids around, right? So of course it was Space Jam. Everybody wanted to watch Space Jam, and we watched it. And I remember not liking it. I remember like, I don't like this movie. This isn't good. This was the first time I felt like something incredibly mainstream was stupid, and I was 9 at the time.
But it was supposed to be stupid. Everything about it is like
Jordan can't act. He's not supposed to be in this.
But like, keeping in mind that like I've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit a million times, one of the greatest movies of all time.
I mean,
And
but
so,
that's not quite the same.
Well,
Like, I feel like that is a good movie.
but that's
Right.
what I mean though. But so that like set a standard in my mind for what a movie that's animation and live action is supposed to be,
Gotcha.
and that you could tell a really great, compelling story. And
Not a big
I've
fan
watched
of Cool World, huh?
Yeah, Cool World was wild, man. It's a wild movie.
I remember when Cool World came out, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like the next Roger Rabbit.
Right.
And
Nah,
No, was not.
it's a wild movie.
Definitely.
Alex says, do they return the Bucks in Chicago? Tony loves doing surprises on Fallout episodes. They'll be at All Out. I mean, not All Out. They'll be at Full Gear. I think they're
They'll be at Full Gear.
wrestling Full Gear. I think they'll show up before Full Gear. I think the match, Death Triangle versus the Elite, to me, I do not think will be a mystery opponent match. I think it'll be on the card. That's
Gotcha.
my gut feeling. But also, they could do it. I mean, you know what was funny too was I was getting really into, as it was happening, those Justin Roberts Kenny introductions, and he only got to do 3 of them. And I am ready for it the moment that Justin Roberts looks up. I want him to have the straight look. Just look up and go, and now. And as soon as it happens, and then we run through all of Kenny's accolades, and hopefully he doesn't throw in and he rescues puppies.
And
keep that
now
one.
he has been out for 2 weeks with a bite mark on his arm. He does not let anybody chew on him like a Charleston chew that you can find in North Carolina.
Yes. Brought it back.
Yeah, I'm all in.
I'm excited for it. I'm in for it.
Yeah, I'm in on the Kenny return. But yeah, so I guess talking about SmackDown this week. Yeah, we had the Emma return, which again, until the news had been reported that day, I had no idea was coming. I didn't we knew she was finished up with Impact, and I'm not gonna lie, I have been kind of disappointed with Tennille Dashwood outside of WWE in the last couple of years, and it was like she had such a great run turning heel in NXT, and then we thought she was going to do something special outside of it, and then she just kind of didn't. So
Yeah.
What does this guy have against Deonna is my fucking question, bro.
I don't know if Deonna wants to.
Why did they keep getting everybody from Impact but not her?
So
again, I think this is all like Hunter bringing back people that he successfully booked.
Right.
Where like Emma is somebody that he sees as one of his successful bookings from that era of NXT. He doesn't have a successful track record with Deonna Purrazzo at all.
No.
So like,
He don't care.
I think right now WWE, as far as under Hunter's control is concerned, isn't interested, at least yet, in trying new things with new people. I think.
But he didn't really book the homegirl, and she got a job. And she be getting injured a lot. Chelsea Green.
Oh.
well, is that confirmed that she's back yet?
I thought the news yesterday that they put out said that she was. Somebody said that she was.
I think that they were saying she's finishing up her time with Impact.
She's finishing up with Impact to go to WWE.
Yeah,
I'm saying
so
he never
yeah.
booked her anything.
Yeah, I don't think that's been confirmed yet. I think people just think that's why she's finishing up her time with Impact.
Gotcha.
is
So
to go
I
back
could
to
just be
WWE.
making this up. Okay, I see.
I mean, she might be one of the names I was talking about, but
I mean, she
so
could be. That's why I was saying. I wasn't saying he was wrong. I was just saying, was it confirmed?
There you go.
But look, man, I like Emma. I think that her run with Impact wasn't as good as it should have been. It doesn't seem like she ever quite caught on there. It doesn't seem like she quite improved there either. I I thought that if they were going to bring her back to WWE, why didn't they just keep using her name? Why did they have to make her Emma again? That was kind of strange. And boy, I hate to say this. The women's stuff on SmackDown has not been good.
It's
I'm
bad.
just gonna say it.
That's
It has
exactly.
not
I was
been
gonna.
good.
I was gonna ask where does she fit in this
It-
SmackDown women's thing?
I'll be fair enough and say that I think at least last week was the first week that the live stuff started hitting for me.
Okay. I don't agree, but okay. Because I feel like she does it. She does the same thing every week now. She comes out and she does the "Hey, I'm extreme," and then somebody on commentary was like "Extreme," and when they even announced the match this week, hey, she beat up Sonya again. She's gonna have a no disqualification match next week. Extreme. It's like, to stop. It just feels like it's repetitive at this point. Like, what is the end game with her doing any of this? If I felt like there's a trajectory where this is going to get her somewhere else, like, the problem is you're taking a belt off of her and now you're doing this rebrand. Where does that take her? Does that mean she's going to go back to the title picture? No, she's going to lose to Ronda again if she does that.
Yeah, they're doing Ronda Becky at WrestleMania this year.
I feel like that's where we're going. I did like that Ronda's officially turning heel again because she should be a heel.
Yes.
I like that they're seemingly putting her with Baszler. But a lot of the stuff on SmackDown with women
I did like the Natty thing though. That was pretty funny. Natty comes and talks for 3 seconds and then Shayna just chokes her out.
Yeah. What it reminded me of was Goodfellas, and Maury just kept trying to talk to he just kept trying to talk to Robert De Niro. And Tommy's like, finally shut this guy up.
Right.
But yeah, that match wasn't good. Emma versus Ronda was not good.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate to put it that plainly, but it wasn't good.
like, honestly, I didn't like a lot of the wrestling on Friday night this week. That I thought all of the stuff that hit for me was stuff that happened outside of the ring, right? Like, I thought that the Bloodline stuff, amazing television. Some of the best stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so why did you say that SmackDown was very good? That's why I was like, was it?
But like, I also thought Rampage had the same problem, right? Like Rampage, for me, the wrestling wasn't really like hitting to me, but the stuff outside of it was interesting. I thought that the like Moxley versus Matt Menard, this is like whatever. But then Stokely and Lee Moriarty afterwards, stuff was dope, right? And then we saw Keith Lee. That was just a squash. Wasn't anything to write home about. But then afterwards. Swerve with Billy Gunn. That was interesting.
The disgusted look on Keith Lee's face was great.
Yeah.
And Ethan Page, once again, once you put a microphone in front of this guy, he's gonna cut a great promo, and she was fantastic.
And it was like Matt Taven versus Wardlow. That was
just
whatever.
kind of there.
It was there, but after the match was over, Powerhouse Hobbs returns, motions for the title, and he
and I stood up for 18 minutes straight at looking at my TV in excitement. I'm still very excited about it.
So like, I didn't think, and on SmackDown it was the same deal where like the stuff I liked on SmackDown didn't happen in the ring. It was all the stuff that surrounded it, where there wasn't really like a particular match on SmackDown I really liked at all. But the stuff around
why do they keep letting Ricochet talk, you guys?
Yep. Whereas, like, I think Wednesday, on the other hand, like Dynamite was a really strong wrestling night. And then Raw just felt like it was lacking in star power, and I feel like the crowd, like, it had probably one of the deadest crowds Raw's had in a while.
Yeah, and I think the crowd didn't help because the main event was actually good. I thought the main event
that's where the wrestling. I feel like that was the best wrestling match to me this week was Bianca and Bayley in the main event.
And we got Nikki Cross back with her last name again.
Yes.
I thought all of that
no
stuff
one's
was
concerned about her and Karrion Kross on the same brand, which
was
literally it last year. I know that like there's been complicated reasons behind it, but it was literally just like Vince did not want on the same roster a Nikki Cross and a Karrion Kross, even though they're spelled differently. Even though, look, sometimes people have the same last name. Shit happens.
There are what, like 5 Adams on AEW right now?
And like Isaiah Cassidy, Orange Cassidy, doesn't fucking matter. People have similar last names. It's
Nobody
gonna
will mix them up. But
happen.
yeah, I thought the wrestling in the main event was good, but the crowd did not give them anything. The crowd was like dead silent for most of that match, and it was a good match. I do think that they're running Bianca Bailey too much at this point.
They are.
Like, why are we
Hopefully
going
last
back
woman
to it?
standing is the end.
At the crown jewel
'cause
match.
they're running it too much. I will say that you can say what you want about Crown Jewel and the sports washing. I think that the way they're presenting Lashley versus Brock is cool. I think the way they're making this look like a big super heavyweight match, and they're kind of presenting them as equals at least in the vignettes. I mean, we pretty much know that Brock is just going to get his win back. That's just how we know this is going to go. But I think it's a good thing for Lashley now because when you really think about it, the thing that Lashley has kind of gotten over with and the thing that has been long running this year is the feud with Brock. It's been running since January. And I think that's cool. It would be nice if it would pay it off with him getting a win and then coming back and saying, hey, I deserve it. I deserve a title shot because I never lost, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, right, Phil.
I'm just saying that would be nice, but I don't. That's absolutely not going to
It
happen.
really would be nice.
But again, I feel like they should do more things like this with Raw because I think that the big issue with me, and I've said this for a while, is that they really need a main world title on that show. And I know people are going to go, well, Bianca's the main world champion on the show. They don't revolve any storylines on that show around Bianca. A lot of the stuff on the show revolves around Damage Control. I don't think they have what they have on SmackDown with the Bloodline stuff with anybody on Raw. And I think that shows because they don't have a main world champion. And so the thing that scares me with this Bobby thing is, all right, Bobby loses this match. Where do you go with Bobby after that?
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you go with Brock after that?
Well, Brock's just going to go away. He's not going to come back.
Mm.
He's doing per appearance. He's gone. He's not coming back to do Raw. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
he'll be back by WrestleMania season, or
you don't think
by
he's
the
going
next
to be at November Survivor Series?
No. I don't think he'd be and especially because there's no day one, and it doesn't sound like there's a December pay-per-view. I think
he's about to
Brock's
go
going
home,
away.
have holiday. Yeah, I see.
But that's even more if he's going away. Just give Lashley the win.
Give Lashley the win if he's going to leave. Then right.
We'll see.
I don't see it happening.
I do not see it happen.
Let's finish up with the super chats and humper chats. Van Twin Blade wanted to let us know that Rashomon, that's the word you want, Phil. That, of course, is a storytelling trope in which you have two basically multiple characters telling different versions of the same story. And that, of course, refers to the Japanese film from the 1950s. I literally just looked this up, in which that was basically the plot. And so we also have, let's see, scrolling through to the newest super chats. I want to make sure I don't miss any. Let's see. Devil Kazuya says, what would be the CM Punk dream matches in WWE? There's a few. Like I said, Seth Rollins is one of them.
It's Roman. That's the biggest. Again, I feel like that's the biggest match of this era, possibly. If you get that right and you do that at WrestleMania, I think. Yeah,
I think people don't classify dream matches as matches that already happened.
That's true, but
Like
I feel like
Roman and CM Punk already happened.
Yeah, I just think in terms
but
of like,
at a different level.
It's a different era. I understand.
Roman wasn't the Roman he
wasn't
is
Roman
now.
at all. He was brand new. Like he was.
And so I think it's different. I mean, I think there are like some new guys that are there, of course, that you can do matches with. But I feel like the biggest money making
matches with Rome, definitely.
Kenneth Love says, "Who would y'all have take the titles from Roman?"
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. So you'd have him lose to Logan Paul.
I'm thinking of the
Logan Paul, and then it's like, well,
I'm
Jake
thinking
Paul
of the damn boxing match that's happening tonight. Logan Paul, I'd have him go over next week.
Nah, you have Jake Paul come in and
if Jake Paul knocks out Anderson Silva, then he comes in and knocks out Roman Reigns. It's easy as that.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, I was watching season 2 of Upload just yesterday, and there's a scene in I think it's the 4th episode, where For those who don't know, the show Upload takes place in the future, and basically the rich have basically they've found a way to live forever where you upload your consciousness into the cloud, but like the rich have basically unlimited data and they get to live definite better afterlives than the poor do, who have like data caps and stuff. So it's a good show, right? But like one of the moments at the beginning of the episode is where they're breaking into a laboratory that was like reprinting and represerving the bodies of the rich, and they're like unplugging all of them, and one of our main characters, she goes, well, we can't just do this to people, you know, these are human beings. And they're like, well, they're rich and they don't deserve it and blah blah blah, like we're just sacrificing 1% of the population for this. And so as she's walking out, she like sees one of the tanks they unplugged, and she gets a heart and she plugs it back in, and then she looks and sees it's Jake Paul and unplugs it and walks off.
Man.
It was just like,
you're a money making boxer. You about to make some guap tonight.
yeah. So I thought that was fun.
Who should beat Roman? I mean, at this point, just get both of those titles.
Anybody.
I mean,
I still submit that Sammy would be a good guy to beat him. Of course, Cody is in the conversation.
Cody is still my answer. I feel like as long as you can come back and have him have the momentum he had before, I think that's a really hot babyface that you haven't had in a long time. Have Cody be it. I just hope he can re-grab what he had, because that was a really good
was
thing.
Vince still around when Cody was?
Yeah,
Yes.
Cody.
So
Cody
he's coming in fresh with Triple H.
He's coming in under Hunter. He hasn't had to be under Hunter yet.
I am going to disagree with the chat, because I've seen two people say that CM Punk versus Cody would not be fun. I disagree. I think it would be great. I think the promos alone would be great. Are you kidding me? Dramatic Cody against Punk? No, come on. I would love it.
Especially with the history of them both leaving AEW, they'd mix some good shit in there.
Nobody in WWE currently has good theme music. Disagree. I say nobody has, because even I like Bray, so I can't even say nobody knew music.
Okay.
But
man.
Rollins, Rollins is pretty good.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to agree with that.
Yeah.
No, Asuka still
But
has her
I
theme.
think-
and her theme
but-
is still amazing.
I think most of it stinks, like as far as like the stuff they've been creating as of late.
All
is,
the
like,
new shit is awful.
Yeah, I think
God
especially the remakes of themes. Like, I think that what's his name? Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle had a much better theme before.
Oh
and then
yeah,
they,
the
like,
remix is
the remix is really bad. I think Braun's new theme is really bad. It's no good. Hire somebody else. Chaos Control says,
I like Lashley's theme too.
listen,
Lashley's
Santino
theme is
clicked
good.
for me. I don't know why, but he did. I mean, as far as like, Santino was at his funniest when WWE didn't realize it.
Exactly.
Because it was
most
like
of 'em.
when he was just being a funny guy, when he would just had funny mannerisms and things like that. I thought that was Santino at his best. When it was like WWE is like, yeah, Santino, we're going to start writing jokes for you. I thought that shit was when it started bombing. But when he was just a funny personality, I think that's when it clicked. I think.
Yeah.
let's
Oh
see.
man, that music talk. I've been trying to hold this in for the longest. The Damage Control theme sucks. It sucks. I've been trying not to say it, but it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there like a
Eloquent.
lady rapper in there or something?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. All right.
Eloquent says, Bloodline stuff going to end up being the new Festival of Friendship. I can't wait. Yeah, when they
Straight
turn on Sammy, that's going to be. But you know what? I think tie it all together. Make it so much like Festival of Friendship that it's what pulls Kevin Owens into it. Of like a, damn, you should have seen that coming because I kind of invented this.
Right.
I mean, that also makes me think of Punk. Are you kidding me? The promo that KO could cut on Punk?
right.
Yeah.
Fucking
KO's
KO
a-
would be pretty hot. Yeah, you're right.
KO is another one of those guys, though, who probably if put to a vote would be like, nah, I don't want to work with him.
I mean, those are his homeboys
Yeah.
that he punched that Punk punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
so,
I mean, well, he didn't like him before that.
He didn't
anyway.
like him before, too. Yeah, he was.
You didn't see his victory lap when all this stuff was happening?
I did.
I saw a certain media guy try to get his victory lap in yesterday, and I laughed at it.
Who are we talking about?
You guys didn't see that tweet? It was a certain tweet that said, "It's nice when you used to admire somebody, and he's getting to be exposed for who he really is."
No, I didn't see who tweeted that.
What's
Huh.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. Certain guy that also got married recently.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
D Skills H Town says, I sure hate that Matt Riddle is back to being a walking weed joke after showing some intensity against Seth.
Right.
That was the main thing that made me go, is Vince back? Because like I thought Matt Riddle was on a roll and really getting to show some fire out of the Seth feud. And
The Rollins shits were good.
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys ready to admit that I was right? That every time somebody is linked with my guy, they look better, and then when they're not, they turn back into who they really are. Dom ain't looked as good since.
He has not.
Are y'all telling me that it's not going to look good for Cody when he returns? Because all he had that whole time, I was just talking about that run Cody was having. That whole
I'm just
run.
saying, part of the reason that Cody got over is because of what Rollins was doing. I mean, look how great Mustafa Ali looks right now. And that's not to say that Ali is bad, but I think that the stuff with Rollins is helping Ali a lot.
I agree.
Shadman
Again,
talking about
best heel in the company, man.
Yeah.
talking about Braun says, respect Braun, but agreed with Phil. He's mad cheesy. Tony P says, so y'all see the picture AEW used on YouTube for the Swerve and Billy segment? I gotta say, by the way, Swerve is obviously like my son's favorite just because he's, Swerve. But the amount of work Swerve has had to do with Billy Gunn lately and keep shouting out Billy negatively, and my son is like, I know he doesn't mean me, but man, it's hard to not hear it that way.
Billy feels like how I feel when they call bad weed Reggie. I fucking hate it. Pisses me off. That's a thing. Bad weed is Reggie. I'm like, can we change the name of that to something else?
Yeah,
I'm Reggie.
Which gets me to this point. Listen, there was a point when Bling Bling was dead. Mid is dead, guys.
Mid is hella dead. Mid has been dead and buried.
Mid is dead. You've overused it. It's done.
Out.
It's finished.
We're talking to you, Max.
Crowd loves it.
But look who's in that crowd, though.
Yeah. Yozora Hart says, is it time to open dialogue on the last 6 weeks of U.S. women's wrestling and AEW versus Triple H led WWE? Look, I'm not going to go that far yet. So basically, Triple H's led WWE has had one women's match per show, which SmackDown again did this week and does next week. And I get what they're saying, that AEW's women's wrestling has had some really good matches, like with Shida and Toni Storm and with Riho and Jamie Hayter. And on top of that, they've got multiple angles building with what appears to be Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. You also have Britt Baker and Saraya, and you also have Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill. And so I get what they're saying. There's a big piece of me that feels like the women's wrestling in WWE might be being limited by the fact that they're about to do this big Saudi pay-per-view next week. And it's like, look, we're going to do a women's show, women's match on this show, but we ultimately know that the Saudis do not want women's wrestling. So we're going to give as little of it as possible.
Right.
I'm willing to at least look until, give it a couple of weeks and see if things turn around. And if they don't, then maybe start having that conversation. Not quite yet.
I mean, I think that most of the issue is SmackDown. I think that the women's stuff on SmackDown hasn't been good. I think for the most part, the women's stuff on Raw is fine.
I do think, the women's stuff on Raw has been limited, and there's a lot of questions like, where's Alexa Bliss right now? Where's Asuka? And fact is, like, Raw did only have one women's match. It was the main event, and it was very good, but it did only have the one.
My guess is the reason that they've been off TV and they've been holding off was a lot of creating individual feuds for them is to build to the War Games match.
War Games, yeah.
That's my guess. I could be wrong, but Yeah, the funny thing is, I think the wrestling on Raw when it comes to women has been good. I think
been
most of
very
the
good.
matches have been good. I just think that some of the damage control stuff is getting a bit repetitive.
Right.
I think Raw and Dynamite really have had like great women's stuff. I'm not sure what the Rampage match was last night with.
Yeah, it was Ty Madison, right?
Yeah, but as far as I think Raw and Dynamite have really done really well as far as women's wrestling in terms of the match quality and the matchmaking. I think they've both been pretty good. Anurag says, when can we expect Bryan versus Kenny 2, Elite versus BCC? I mean, we do have to get a finish to that match. The thing is, the only time we saw Bryan versus Kenny was a draw. There is time to go back to it. Bryan, in the interview he did this week, was talking about some of the leadership in the AEW and the leaders who have stepped up. And he talked about Moxley and Jericho and the Elite. And it was just interesting how he's putting those guys over as the guys who started this and are leading it. But, obviously he wasn't going to mention Punk, but I noticed he was putting them all over positively as like, this is the way this company is led, and it's led by guys who are doing well at it. I'm curious when we get back there, but I feel like the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club is an easy one because there's any combination of the 3 Blackpool Combat Club members you can run with. There's very few you can.
It all work. Yeah.
There's very few. So, let's see. There's a couple more. Life of Deem sent us a super chat. He says,
Cowbell's going over here. What's going on?
Sorry, no, I dropped my. I have a holder for my phone. And I
More
dropped it.
cowbell.
Let's see. He says, happy belated, Will. Hobbs versus Wardlow is going to be wild. I love Swerve in Our Glory, but when Swerve goes solo, his heel run is going to be so damn good.
Solo.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, there's stuff happening. And
I'm ready for him to take over the world. I'm
About to
ready
be
for
hot.
this guy to
About to be hot.
the biggest champion ever. I'm ready for him to be petty and rub it in people's faces. I the way that this guy keeps track of anybody that hates on him is just amazing. I'm sorry, but the revenge tour is going to be great.
yeah,
Can't wait.
Like I said, though, the only thing I will say about that storyline is it's laid out for quite some time. That, there was one time Chris Jericho was putting over back when AEW first started, where Chris Jericho said, and this was in October of 2019. Maybe he said it in November, but he said, I know what I'm going to be doing through February. And that ended up being, Chris Jericho said, I know what every week of TV is about to be through February. And February ended up being when he lost the title. So Chris Jericho knew at the beginning of his title reign how it was going to end and when it was going to end. Because it ended in February. He lost it to Moxley. He knew all that stuff as it was going to lay out. The eye gouging, all of that was laid out way back then. I say all that to say that similarly, long-term, think long-term. If something's not happening this week, keep in mind, long-term. And let's see. Henry T. Casey. Greetings, gents. Happy birthday week, Will. Thank you. I was just at New Japan in NYC last night. What is it about Leo Rush that he always pops the crowd when he's a surprise return? He's an exciting wrestler.
He's dynamic. All he has to do is start going off, and you're going to be going crazy for him.
Which, by the way, I think he just announced he's going to be in Super Junior Tag Team. Like, I think he's teaming up with Yo.
Oh, that's what they were setting up at the show.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. So, they're saying in the chat, because Redmond brought up that Jericho also suggested to Saraya to TK to go to TK with a month worth of TV ideas. That's really how it goes, right? Like, when it comes to those long-term ideas, if you've got them, present them.
I mean, that kind of speaks to what Swole said as well, where if you don't present ideas and if you don't speak up, you kind of.
She said the closed mouths in AEW don't get fed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen definitely the open mouths, the ones who've got ideas for what they want to be doing. They're the
Getting
ones
fed.
getting fed. So that's it though for this edition of Grapsody.
Grapsody.
Another Saturday in the books. I hope everybody has a really happy Halloween coming up this Monday. Hope y'all get to go do adult activities because if you're like me, you have kids. It's all you do on Halloween is kid stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure people will go. People still do like terrible Halloween parties, and women do like the slutty versions of dumb costumes. And
Oh, that's still a hoot. Yeah, that's
I'm going to a
still
Halloween
something.
party tonight. I hope it's just like that.
you're trying to go and see somebody dressed up as Velma tonight? That's what you're doing?
I could only dream of a great moment like that. That would be amazing.
I'm going out tonight with friends. There may be some Halloween stuff in it, but it's mostly just like a birthday dinner. Other than that, shaking my kids trick-or-treating. I just bought $80 worth of candy.
Oh, shit.
The other
Wait,
day.
that's a lot of Halloween candy.
There's a lot of kids in my neighborhood. So
Jesus.
passing out candy. And then also I'll probably hang on to a lot of it. It was more like I saw, maybe it wasn't 80. That was bad math. Hold on.
I was like, that's
So
a
I'll say
lot.
$80 worth of
hella
candy is
Halloween
wild,
candy.
bro.
Hold on.
What are you buying?
Sorry.
All
80.
king size, maybe.
You're right. I bought like $40 worth of candy.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say $80 worth of candy is crazy.
I think
I going ham for the kiddies out there.
I think I doubled as I was adding stuff up. So I remember I bought a bag that was like it has Snickers and what was it? It contained Snickers, Twix, and Milky Way. And I was like, this is good. And then Corey called me and she's like, hey, make sure you get the stuff with Reese's. And I'm like, okay, fine. And so I get the one that's got the Reese's. And
by the way, T, if you're watching this show, if you don't get the fuck out of here with this Reese's slander, bro, what are you talking about, man?
You may not slander Reese's.
You don't get out of here, man.
You can't slander Reese's, man. You
cannot.
cannot. That doesn't work around here.
But then after that, I was like, well, damn, I can't be handing out candy and not hand out Starburst and Skittles. And so I was like, all right, grab that bag too. And next thing I know, I look down and I'm like,
I could believe he said that one got to go, and he was like Reese's. Like, man, if you don't get this goddamn Milky Way out of here, bro.
Yeah, the one that's got to go is Milky Way.
Milky
Way has to go because Milky Way is just Snickers without peanuts. And
Exactly.
now Three Musketeers is just Milky Way without caramel.
Yeah, trash.
So
Fam.
Bucked out.
you want the full experience? It is Snickers. Snickers is the experience.
Yeah, Snickers is a premium candy bar. Like, come on, nobody outside of trick or treating has ever went in a store and said, "Let me get a Three Musketeers." You're a liar if you say you have. I don't believe you.
I mean, I know people who just like have an aversion to peanuts and are like, "Look, I want caramel, nougat, and chocolate, but I don't want peanuts, so I want Milky Way." But like, look, Snickers is it.
Snickers.
It's the one. You get everything out of Snickers.
Yeah.
Happy Peanut Soar. Anybody remember that commercial? No, is that just a me thing? 2006.
Yeah.
Over chocolate-covered mountaintops. Man, we've been singing on this show. And waterfalls of caramel. Anyway, folks, this has been another edition of Grapsody. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for everything. This has been a great October, and November is going to kick in. Don't forget, check out everything we do here at Fightful. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff. Next week, I don't know when we're going to be on. It probably won't be at our normal Saturday time because we have a little bit of Crown Jewel to cover. So we'll see what we end up doing as far as that's concerned. We'll discuss it, and you'll definitely know. Stay tuned to our social medias. I'm William RBR. Phil is Philip DL6, or he's Phil DL616. Righteous Reg is Righteous Reg. He's got the easiest one to remember. And we are Grapsody. You can find our Twitter handle, Grapsody Pod. Outside of that, folks, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.